DNA template manifests upon the program set by the kathara grid. As the kathara centers and their corresponding star crystal seals, shield, kundalini currents, cranial sacral, pineal tailbone, seals, seed crystal seals and chakras activate, dormant DNA strand template also activate, progressively altering the angular rotation of particle spin, energy processing capacities, metabolic orientation and neurological processes of the body and molecular structure. As these physical changes occur through activation of the crystal seals and energies, the Merkaba vehicle, interdimensional counterrotating electromagnetic fields in star tetrahedral form, progressively builds within the bioenergetic field, allowing the physical body release from phase lock within its home space-time vector. Activation of the Hara center represents one of the stages of this natural transmutational process. The 9th core star crystal seal, the Hara center and the D9 thalamus complex. The star and seed crystal seals of the level 2 kathara grid that hold consciousness into the dimensional phase lock set by the level L kathara centers, accrete along the central vertical kathara line and the central body current. From the Hara level, the outer portions of the level 2 kathara grid, the 12th, 9th and 6th star crystal seals, appear as areas of condensed light positioned along the vertical Hara line. The 9th star crystal seal, located about 2 foot below the navel, is known as the core star crystal seal, the point of 8th and 9th dimensional frequency of the harmonic 3/soul matrix, which is the toric shield that anchors the personal morphogenetic field into that of the earth and serves as the center of gravity for the adult human body. The core star seal appears from the Hara level as a 2-inch ball of gold energy encased in a thin silvery membrane. In Eastern theory, this ball of energy is called the Tantine, and is used for direction of bodily and earth energies in advanced martial arts and healing practices. In Kathara theory, we simply refer to this energy ball as the Hara center or the 9th core star crystal seal. The Hara center is the point at which the dimensionalizing identity enters the etheric matter densities of harmonic universe 3. The Hara center represents the point into which the oversoul identity, its monadic core, the Betchya Ova body and Kathara centers 7, 8 and 9 first anchor within the body. The Hara center holds the morphogenetic imprint for DNA strands 7, 8 and 9, corresponds to chakra centers and axiotonal lines 7, 8 and 9 and is a key point for repatterning the electrotonal programs of the toric shield and realigning and activating corresponding DNA strands, chakras, axiotonal lines and body regions they govern. The Hara center is associated with the thalamus complex, the chemical translation and regulatory system that governs the 9th dimensional interface between various brain function areas and the glandular and metabolic operations of the thymus complex, gonads, lymphatic system and corresponding body systems. Through the 9th dimensional thalamus complex, the electrical impulse, chemical and hormonal relationships between the 10th dimensional Shara complex and the 8th dimensional thymus complex and its related body systems are governed. The Hara center and the thalamus complex link the functions of the Mahara and Betchya Ova bodies, the Maharic and Toric shields in the avatar and oversoul levels of consciousness and identity within the body and bioenergetic field. The primary area of dominion of the D9 thalamus complex is brain function. The 6th soul star seal and the D8 thymus complex. Also visible along the Hara line of Kathara grid level 2 is the 6th star crystal seal, located around the thymus, at the top of the breastbone, and associated with the 5th and 6th dimensional frequencies of the harmonic 2 soul matrix. The 6th star seal, visible as a pale blue-violet-white point of diffused light along the Hara line, is called the soul star seal. The soul star seal is the point at which the dimensionalizing identity enters the semi-etheric matter densities of harmonic universe 2. The soul star represents the point into which the soul identity, its archetype core, the Alpha Uva body and Kathara centers 4, 5 and 6 first anchor within the body. The soul star holds the morphogenetic imprint for DNA strands 4, 5 and 6, corresponds to chakra centers and axiotonal lines 4, 5, and 6 and is a key point for repatterning the electrotonal programs of the Duratic shield and realigning and activating the corresponding DNA strands, chakras, axiotonal lines and body regions they govern. The soul star is associated with the thymus complex, the chemical translation and regulatory system that governs the eighth dimensional interface between the pineal, pituitary and thyroid glands, which govern the chemical and metabolic operations of the hormones, adrenal glands, endocrine system, spleen and crystalline formation of the red blood cells and hemoglobin. The thymus complex and its related glandular and metabolic systems govern the cyclic rhythms by which the DNA strands will activate through the pineal gland, the rate of growth and degeneration of body tissue through the thyroid gland and through the pituitary gland and its interglandular processes, the functions of electrotonal impulse conversation, translation, and distribution through the brain, central nervous system and blood are regulated. The thymus complex controls the interglandular system's balances between the pineal, thyroid and pituitary glands and regulates the primary operations of electrical impulse and chemical translation and transfer throughout the brain and body systems via the thymus gland. The eighth dimensional thymus complex is governed by the functions of the ninth dimensional thalamus complex and the 10th dimensional Shara complex. The soul star and the thymus complex link the functions of the Betchia and Alpha-Uva bodies, the Turic and Duratic shields and the oversoul and soul levels of consciousness and identity within the body and bioenergetic field. The primary area of dominion of the D8 thymus complex is metabolic function. The third sun star seal and the nadial complex. Also present, but less distinctly visible along the Hara line of the Kathara grid level 2, is the third star crystal seal, located just beneath the Hara center of the ninth star seal 2 foot below the navel and associated with the 2Th and 3Th dimensional frequencies of the harmonic 1 incarnate matrix. The third star seal, visible as a subtle pale yellow-orange rad point of diffused light along the Hara line, is called the sun star seal. Due to its proximity to the silver-gold Hara center ninth star seal, the sun star is often considered to be part of the Hara center, but in deeper Hara level scanning the distinction between these crystal seals can be evidenced. The sun star seal is the point at which the dimensionalizing identity enters the gross physical matter densities of harmonic universe 1. The sun star represents the point into which the incarnate identity, its subconscious telluric core, the Nada Ova body and Kathara centers 1, 2, and 3 first anchor within the body. The sun star holds the morphogenetic imprint for DNA strands 1, 2, and 3, corresponds to chakra centers and axiotonal lines 1, 2, and 3 and is a key point for repatterning the electrotonal programs of the telluric shield and realigning and activating the corresponding DNA strands, chakras, axiotonal lines and body regions they govern. The sun star is associated with the nadial complex, the electrical impulse and chemical translation and regulatory system that governs the fourth dimensional interface between the thymus complex, thalamus complexes, and the functions of the physical body systems, through which the electrical, chemical, and metabolic operations of the blood, cardiovascular, pulmonary and respiratory systems are governed. The nadial complex governs the operations of heart and breathing rhythms, the how of consciousness energy or prana from the higher dimensional anatomy into physical embodiment and regulates many key functions within the processes of nutrient conversion and distribution within the skeletal and soft tissue systems. The nadial complex is a key center for the direction of healing energies within the Nada Uva body, telluric shield, and physical body systems. In advanced applications of healing and manifestation, the nadial complex is combined with the attributes of the Shara, thalamus, and thymus complexes and with the universal Raja complex of harmonic 5, which links the human body to the planetary, galactic, and universal unified fields through the 12th and 13th chakras and 10th star crystal seal at Earth's core, via the planetary bio-feed interface system. The frequencies of the third sun star crystal seal, that govern the function of the nadial complex, can be combined with those of the 9th core star seal Hara center and the 8th and 10th star crystal seals through the 12th and 13th chakras, planetary bio-feed interface system, Duratic, Turic, and Maharic shields and Raja complex to form a potent turic telluric current for healing and manifestation, once the duratic and turic currents have been activated within the body. The Sun Star and the Nadial complex link the functions of the Alphi and Nada Ova bodies, the duratic and telluric shields in the soul and incarnate levels of consciousness and identity within the body and bioenergetic field. The primary areas of dominion of the D4 Nadial complex are cardiovascular, pulmonary and nutrient absorption conversion functions. The 12th galactic star seal and the D10 Shara complex. The third point of condensed light visible along the Hara line of the Kathara grid level 2 is the 12th star crystal seal, located at the 14th chakra, 36 foot above the head, and associated with the 11th and 12-inch dimensional frequencies of the harmonic 4 avatar matrix, which is Maharic shield. The 12th star seal, visible as a white-silver point of light emanating an inverted white-silver gold cone of energy at the 14th chakra, is the white star or galactic star seal. The galactic star seal is the point at which the dimensionalizing Gestalt identity enters pre-matter liquid light densities of harmonic 4, the point at which identity begins its individuation and journey of densification into the wave spectra of perceivably experiential matter. The galactic star represents the point into which the avatar identity, its Budaic core, the Maharic Uva body and Kathara centers 10, 11, and 12 first anchor within the bioenergetic field to begin setting the scalar field for the body. The galactic star seal holds the morphogenetic imprint for DNA strand 10, 11, and 12, corresponds to chakra centers and axiotonal lines 10, 11, and 12 and is a key point for repatterning the electrotonal programs of the Maharic shield and realigning and activating the corresponding DNA strands, chakras, axiotonal lines and body regions they govern. The galactic star is associated with the Shara complex, the regulatory system that governs the 10th dimensional interface between the D9 thalamus complex and the D13 portion of the Rishi shield in harmonic 5. Through the Shara complex, the scalar fields holding the Gestalt identity of harmonic S Rishi consciousness collective, the universal family of consciousness, translate via electrotonal conduction into the more individuated scalar fields that house the avatar identity Gestalt consciousness collective, the galactic family of consciousness. The Share complex regulates the disbursement of consciousness in individuated form through the dimensional fields of the time matrix and serves to link each individuated and incarnate member of the geomantic entity collective beyond the time matrix to its avatar identity and galactic family of consciousness in harmonic universe 4, through the universal family of consciousness of the Rishi identity in harmonic universe 5. The Shara complex represents the primary facility through which an individual consciousness retains its indelible energetic connection to its greater family of consciousness, through which it is directly linked to Source. The Shara complex governs, regulates and orchestrates the transduction, translation and cyclic rhythms of electrotonal projection of consciousness into dimensionalization, sets the original operational structures of Kathara scalar grid arrangement and directs the synchronistic evolution of families of consciousness through time. Through the operations of the Shara complex, an identity's cycles of incarnation and manifestation within the S-harmonics of a 15-dimensional time matrix are regulated, which sets the core regulatory rhythms of partiki phasing, expansion and contraction of consciousness, and vibration oscillation ratios that govern the formation and function of the thalamus and thymus complexes and all aspects of the individuated Kathara grid, bioenergetic field, and bodily systems. The Shara complex controls the cycles of inhow and outflow of energy between the personal morphogenetic field and that of the dimensional unified fields, and thus affects all systems of the body and consciousness, with a primary emphasis upon the functions of the blood, consumption, excretion, and immunological facilities of the body, and of the activation of the higher dimensional sense facilities within the embodied consciousness. The Shara complex links the functions of the Mahara and Raja Ova bodies, the Maharic and Rishic shields and the avatar and Rishi levels of identity within the embodied consciousness. Primary area of dominion of the D10 Shara complex is the immune system and HSP. Earth seals 8 and 10 and the Raja complex. Within the Hara levels of field depth in which the third sun star crystal seal can be detected, there are two other star crystal seals of primary importance, stationed along the Hara line of the Kathara grid level 2. These are referred to as the Earth seals. The Earth seals function as intrinsic aspects of the planetary bio-feed interface system and the Raja complex. The 8th star crystal seal, called the Earth star seal, is located within the 12th chakra, 6 inch below the feet, and is associated with the 7th, 8th, and 12th dimensional frequencies of the harmonic 3 oversoul matrix, which is Turic shield, and the harmonic 4 avatar matrix, which is the Maharic shield. The Earth star is visible as a subtle gold-orange point of diffused light, positioned along the Hara line, 6 inch below the feet, as the Hara line leaves the physical body through the first base chakra to extend downward into the Earth's core. The 10th star crystal seal, called the Earth core seal, is located within the 13th chakra where the Hara line connects into the Earth's core and is associated with the 9th, 10th, 12th, and 13th dimensional frequencies of harmonic 3 Turic shield, harmonic 4 Maharic shield, and harmonic 5 Rishi matrix. The Earth core seal is visible as a pale blue-black point of diffused light, positioned in the Earth's core, at the point where the personal Hara line connects to the center of the Earth's core, at the 1st and 12th planetary Kathara cantors. The 8th Earth star seal is the point at which the dimensionalizing identity combines the 12th dimensional frequencies of the harmonic 4 pre-matter liquid light density with the 8th and 9th dimensional frequencies of the etheric matter densities of harmonic 3, to connect the personal morphogenetic field and Kathara grid to those of the planetary body. The Earth star crystal seal can be viewed as the point where personal and planetary Kathara grids connect to the galactic Kathara grid. The Earth star represents the point into which the Mahara and Betya Ova bodies, Kathara, centers 8, 9, and 12 and the 12th galactic star seal and Shara complex first anchor into the planetary and galactic Kathara grids. The Earth star holds the morphogenetic imprint for all DNA strands for all manliest incarnations in 4 harmonics of time, corresponds to chakra centers and planetary vortices and personal and planetary axiotonal line 8, 9, 10, and 12, and is a key point for repatterning the electrotonal programs of the personal Maharic, Turic, Duratic, and Telluric shields and realigning and activating corresponding DNA strands, chakras, planetary vortices, axiotonal lines, and personal or planetary body regions. They govern. In the Maharic shield activation process, the Earth star is activated to release phase lock on the 12th chakra to open the personal Kathara grid 10, the planetary bio-feed interface system. The 10th Earth core seal is the point at which the dimensionalizing identity combines the frequencies of the 8th Earth star crystal seal with the 13th dimensional frequencies of harmonic 5 antimatter density. 10 connect the personal and planetary morphogenetic field and Kathara grid to those of the universal Kathara grid of harmonic 5. The Earth core seal can be viewed as the point where personal, planetary, and galactic Kathara grids connect to the universal Kathara grid. The Earth core represents the point into which the Rishi identity, the Raja Ova body and universal Kathara centers 1, 2, and 3 first anchor into the 3rd Earth star and 12th galactic star seals, to form the Raja center of 5 harmonic scalar fields, through which personal, planetary, galactic, and universal experiential manifestation takes place. The Earth core seal corresponds to Chakra 13 and holds the morphogenetic imprint for all manifest incarnations of persons, planets, and galaxies within the 5 harmonics of time, in one 15-dimensional time matrix. Through the combined frequencies of the Earth star and Earth core seals, the personal Kathara grid connects to the planetary, galactic, and universal Kathara grids, forming the planetary bio-feed interface system and the Raja complex or universal bio-feed interface system that links personal, planetary, galactic, and universal consciousness in time. The 3rd Sun Star Seal, 8 and 10 Earth Seals and RA Center. When combined with planetary bio-feed interface system, Duratic, Turic, and Maharic shields and Raja complex, the 3rd Sun Star Crystal Seal and the 9th Core Star Crystal Seal Hara Center merge to form a telluric current that encompasses the seed crystal seal within the 3rd solar plexus chakra, forming a sphere of powerful healing energies at the 3rd chakra called the Ra Center. In Kathara Healing Level 2 we will begin activation of the telluric current of the harmonic 3 Bechya Ova body, through activation of Diratic Current Phase 2, and will explore beginning applications of combining the Diratic Phase 1 and telluric currents with the natural telluric current of the harmonic 1 Nada Ova body to begin bringing the Ra Center for healing and manifestation into activation. The Hara level of Kathara Level 2 and the 6 primary Hara points. Though the study of the crystal seals of Kathara Level 2 crystal seals grid is complex in detail, one can become skilled in healing facilitation through crystal seals mechanics by learning the basic orientation of the outer levels of the Kathara Level 2 scalar grid, the Hara level. In simple analysis, the elements of the Hara level can be viewed as follows: the Hara line, the central body current that is formed by the 11th and 12th axiom lines wrapping around the fixed flash line sequence of the Level 1 Kathara 12 tree central vertical Kathara line. Each primary Hara point governs the function of a complex of interwoven scalar, bioenergetic and physical systems. Knowledge of the 6 Hara points, and the thalamus, thymus, shara, nadial and raja complexes they respectively govern, allows the healing facilitator a greater understanding of the 15-dimensional anatomy. Such foundations of Kathara healing are necessary in preparation for Kathara Healing Level 2 practices that will utilize the Hara level of the Kathara Level 2 crystal seal grid in combination with the Kathara Healing Level Maharic recoding process and other elements to begin activation of the Ra Center for advanced healing and manifestation. Axiotonal lines 1 to 10. In our exploration of the Hara level of the crystal seals grid, we have learned that of the 12 primary axiotonal line, 12 primary vertical energy flow lines within the body and bioenergetic field, created by crossover points of the rotating, single-axis, flash line sequences projected by each of the 12 sea crystal seals. The 11th and 12th axiotonal lines spiral around the Kathara Level 1 12 tree grid central vertical Kathara line to form the Hara line and central body current. Axiotonal lines 1 to 10 also run vertically through the body, from the head to the toes and through each arm to the finger tips, connecting body regions to corresponding levels of the auric field, chakras, Kathara centers, crystal seals and DNA. The sequence of axiotonal line position is as follows: right side of body to center 3 6 9 2 8 center of body 11 12 center to left side of body 5 1 10 7 4. Each line of axiotonal 1 to 10 ends in one finger up and toe on the corresponding side of the body and runs vertically through the top of the head to merge with axiotonal lines 11 and 12 and the Hara line at chakra 10 and down through the feet to merge with the Hara line at chakra 12. Axiotonal line and the meridians. The axiotonal lines within the body set the primary holographic scalar field upon which the meridian lines, or secondary flow lines, of the body manifest. The meridian lines can be used to access the axiotonal lines and the axiotonal lines can be used to access the flash line programs of the Kathara centers and 3 levels of the Kathara grid, if the correspondences between the meridians, axiotonal lines, Kathara centers and chakras are understood. For centuries the meridian lines and chakras have been used in subtle energy heating systems. This knowledge can be applied and the potential results of related healing techniques amplified by employing the correspondences between the meridian and chakra systems and the axiotonal lines and 3 levels of the Kathara grid. Bringing the Kathara grid into the picture allows for restructuring the imprint for health within the causal core, while expediting the heating process by restructuring the various other levels of the bioenergetic anatomy. In Level 1 Kathara healing we focus primarily upon core morphogenetic repatterning, resetting the electrotonal programs of the Kathara grid through the uncorrupted programs of the Maharic shield, to set the ground into which other healing applications can anchor. In later kathara healing levels, we will explore technique applications that affect various other levels of the bioenergetic anatomy. In Level 1 Kathara healing, we strive to create a basic familiarity with the elements of and the interrelationships between the various levels of bioenergetic anatomy. Through understanding the basic correspondences between the three levels of the kathara grid, the kathara centers and kathara lines, the ova bodies, auric levels, signets, shields, crystal seals and axiom lines, and the diotic points and chakras and the other aspects of energetic anatomy, such as the meridian lines and DNA, the healing facilitator is equipped with a knowledge base through which more precise healing facilitation can be applied. Meridian lines and their applications to kathara healing will be explored in later levels of the kathara healing program. The DNA connection. In this chapter, we have explored the various elements of the T5-dimensional anatomy of the human form, from the kathara grid holographic scalar template to the ova bodies, shields, axiom lines, chakra centers, auric field levels and the hara level with its related complexes of energetic interface. Throughout all of these elements of the multidimensional anatomy, we have seen how each element interrelates with the others through their correspondences within the structure of the 15-dimensional scale. The elements of the subtle body anatomy also systematically correspond to the structure and function of the human DNA. Through direct interaction with various elements of the subtle body anatomy, the operations of corresponding aspects of the human DNA can be repaired, enhanced and altered to advance applications of healing and to expedite the evolution of human biology and consciousness. In the Kathara Healing Level 2 program, we will further explore the correspondences between the subtle body anatomy and the DNA and methods by which the DNA can be repaired and activated to a more advanced level through employing the use of Kathara healing mechanics. The silicate matrix 12-strand DNA pattern. The core human DNA imprint is built upon a 12-dimensional structure, each of the 12 strands building up upon one of the primary 12 axiotonal lines and each strand corresponding to one of 12-dimensional frequency bands within the 15-dimensional scale. The original human DNA imprint is called the silicate matrix, the 12-strand scalar wave configuration that allows for the progressive transmutation of harmonic 1 carbon-based molecular elemental structure into the silica-based structures of higher harmonic matter. The 12-strand DNA imprint of the human form implies that human biology was designed to embody 12 dimensions of conscious awareness, or to fully embody the avatar identity level, the Christ identity of harmonic 4, pre-matter liquid light matter density. The human form is organically designed to undergo full cellular transmutation through 4 harmonics of manifestation and their corresponding matter density levels. When the gene code is working properly, the process of cellular transmutation is directed by the embodied human consciousness. In historical terms, the process of conscious cellular transmutation has been referred to as the process of ascension, which is dimensional expansion, the mechanics of which have been hidden within ancient texts dealing with Merkaba mechanics. The Merkaba vehicle of interharmonic scalar wave configurations, which forms within the bioenergetic field, is a consequence or simultaneous effect of progressive activation of the silicate matrix within the genetic code. The silicate matrix and subtle body anatomy. Just as each axiotonal line of the subtle body anatomy has its correspondence to a Kathara center, crystal seal, axiotonal line, auric field level and chakra, so too do the DNA strands have their specific affiliations to each dimensionalized element of the subtle body anatomy. Each DNA strand translates into electrical elemental chemical form from the governing axiotonal line flash line sequence to which it corresponds. The ova bodies and shields of subtle body anatomy each correspond to a set of 3 axiotonal lines, auric field levels and chakras, and thus also correspond to a set of 3 DNA strands that together create the experiential projection of separate 3-dimensional holographic reality fields. Distortions and blockages in the Kathara grid, ova bodies, shields, axiotonal lines and chakras appear as distortions and malfunction within the DNA. The function of the DNA determines the quantity of interdimensional frequency and thus the amount of dimensionalized consciousness that can actively process through and embody within the physical body system. DNA distortions manifest as distortions of biology and consciousness. The 12 DNA strands of the silicate matrix are sets of scalar wave spectra that correspond to each dimensional band, through which each dimensionalized level of the subtle body anatomy is translated into wave spectra that is within the range of perceivable matter manifestation. The DNA can be viewed as the primary structure through which subtle energy consciousness translates into manifest physicality. As each full-dimensional band contains 12 primary subfrequency bands, each of the 12 DNA strands contains 12 primary seed codes, or consolidated scalar points composed of electrotonal flash line sequences that correspond to the subfrequency within each dimension. The 12 primary seed codes within each DNA strand have an antiparticle counterpart composed of frequencies from the antiparticle system. The 12 particle seed codes in each strand are called base codes. Their antiparticle counterparts are called acceleration codes. The seed codes of the core DNA scalar imprint are the points of consolidated frequency through which energy consciousness is drawn in from the dimensional unified fields to expand the personal morphogenetic field. DNA fire codes, genetic time codes. Along with the 12 base codes and 12 acceleration codes of each DNA strand template, there are also 12 primary DNA codes, called DNA fire codes, that regulate the relationship between human biology and the planetary time cycle in which the biology manifests. The DNA fire codes can be conceptualized as existing between the primary 12 strands of the silicate matrix. Each fire code is composed of 1/2 of the scalar frequency patterns from each of the 2 primary strands that the fire codes is placed between. Each of the 12 fire codes corresponds directly to one of the 12 signet star crystal seals in the personal shields of the internal Templar complex and, with release of the corresponding signet seal, the fire code comes into activation. The DNA fire codes release the natural scalar barriers between particles and antiparticle DNA strands, allowing strand fusion to occur. Fusion of DNA strands in the particle body, with corresponding strands in the antiparticle body, creates a progressive transmutation of the scalar wave from of the DNA template and scalar shields, through which the polarized particum particles and partica antiparticles merge and transform into the original omnipolar particle antimatter state. Through strand fusion, the biological carbon-based biology progressively lessens in density, as its elemental agents are transmuted from the kathara level into elemental agents characteristic of the higher dimensional matter densities. Dimensional ascension is achieved through release of the kathara grid seals. Release of the kathara grid seals creates merger of the ova bodies, activation of the kundalini energies, release of the cranial sacral crystal seals, fusion of the DNA strand templates via the DNA fire codes, building of the Merkaba vehicle in the bioenergetic field and the resulting transmutation of bodily matter and shift in angular rotation of particle spin within molecular construction. Through this transformational process, the human biology is released from its organic phase lock within its current space-time cycle and is able to engage in transcendental travel through the various matter density levels and time cycles in and beyond the 15-dimensional time matrix. As the DNA fire codes regulate the body's orientation to space-time, they are also referred to as the genetic time codes. The DNA fire codes are an essential element in the natural process of restoring the natural eternal organic imprint for health within the human body. The ability of the human form to become perpetually self-sustaining is dependent upon the kathara grid and DNA being able to continually renew the natural primal order of Maharic shield scalar arrangement, upon which the body is built, to keep the star crystal seals and conduits of interdimensional energy supply open. Perpetual revitalization of the body is achieved through full activation of the 12-strand DNA pattern. When activated, the DNA fire codes keep the crystal seals, the interdimensional internal star gates of energy inflow, open, so the finite supply of frequency held within the personal manifestation template can be continually renewed. Restoration of the organic imprint for health, as held within the Meheric shield, is achieved through progressively clearing distortions of scalar wave arrangements within the kathara grid, shields and DNA template, and realigning the entire subtle energy and physical energy systems with the primal order of the Meheric shield. This process of whole being healing does not occur overnight, as many genetic distortions, which emerge from kathara grid misalignment, have served as the dominant bioelectrical program within the human genome for many thousands of years. With knowledgeable practice of kathara grid realignment and supportive healing applications within the various body-mind-spirit systems, these inherited distortions can be progressively healed through regenesis of the primal order as held within the personal Meheric shield. Science, junk DNA and evolution. In the contemporary human genetic code, the majority of the DNA strands corresponding to higher dimensional anatomy and consciousness are dormant or damaged due to ancient blockages within the kathara grid and its corresponding elements of the subtle body anatomy. Present-day humans function primarily on a 3 to 3.5 DNA activation level, while the imprint and potentialities for strands 4 to 12 lie dormant within the morphogenetic field and within the fragments of non-functional DNA that contemporary science has labeled junk DNA. The portions of the DNA chain that science has presently identified as the double helix represent only the surface portions of the chemical, elemental and electrical components of the active DNA strands. Science has yet to identify the multidimensional spectra of DNA manifestation and has yet to realize that within the structures of detectable DNA, there are levels of structure and function that direct the operations of the entire genetic imprint, which are not presently detectable by contemporary scientific technique. The human DNA imprint will always appear, from external analysis, as a two-strand double helix configuration, but what is not understood is that within this double helix there are, and will be progressively more, additional double helix strands, which fuse together and add their operational coding into the active DNA imprint. By contemporary standards of categorization, if science were to objectively observe the activated 12-strand pattern, the DNA would not appear to be human at all, but rather as the seemingly incomprehensible genetic signature of an unknown species. As science evolves into comprehension of tile multidimensional spectrum, the understanding of the true structure and function of DNA will progressively advance. DNA, Kathara healing and bio-spiritual evolution. 1. Do not have to wall for scientific theology to catch up with a rapidly evolving humanity in order to begin advancing the functions of the DNA. Through tile processes of Kathara healing, as we work to clear blockages from the kathara grid and to reawaken the imprint for health within the human body, we are simultaneously directly affecting tile operational structure of the DNA. As we work to create UVA body merger, which merging of the scalar grid flashline sequences of the 5 harmonic UVA bodes, we are progressively reordering portions of the junk DNA and stimulating dormant portions of the DNA into activation. As we work with subtle energies to clear blockages within the kathara grid, we are progressively purging ancient distortions and mutations within the gene code, distortions that have kept our collective consciousness locked into the limited 3-dimensional perceptual range of harmonic universe 1. It is through the ancient distortions of the human kathara grid and tile resulting mutations of tile human DNA that the multidimensional portions of identity seem separate from each other. The higher levels of conscious awareness that are stationed within the scalar grids of the higher dimensional UVA body shields have been unable to electronically translate into the lower dimensional identity stations of the Nada UVA body and its apparent physical manifestation. As we work with Kathara healing to create a progressive UVA body merger and DNA strand ordering and activation, we will progressively experience advancement of conscious awareness and expansion of the perceptual field and higher sensory perception, which is HSP. This expansion and advancement occurs because we are able to progressively embody higher frequencies of consciousness and scalar wave flashline sequences into the personal morphogenetic field via the energetic conduits of the DNA. Kathara healing modalities are the fastest and easiest method available to repair and advance the function of the DNA and to expedite the organic processes of bio-spiritual evolution. 12 Human Senses, Aparthy and HSB. In earlier texts, we have explained that manifestation is not what it appears to be, but rather a holographic projection of consciousness through the structures of dimensionalization. Further, that dimensionalization itself is a compartmentalization of consciousness created through units of consciousness, partiki, partika, and particum, assembling in specific mathematical geometrical ratios to form scalar grids, interwoven fabrics of fixed points of electrotonal units that form layers of standing waves, scalar waves that serve to flesh out the structure of the hologram, through projection along a vertical, horizontal, and diagonal axis. We have explored the kathara grid, the core template of scalar standing waves upon which consciousness begins its experience of dimensionalization, the structures of the 15-dimensional universe construction and how these characteristics of the hologram relate to forming the structure of 15-dimensional human anatomy. In understanding the basic foundations upon which our perceivable hologram forms, we begin to better comprehend the nature of reality and of ourselves within this multidimensional reality structure. Through the holographic projection of consciousness, within the cosmic unified field of energy consciousness and its scalar fields of dimensionalization, we perceive the conditions of space, time, matter, externalization of reality and individuation of identity. Within the hologram of consciousness, we perceive as solid and objectified the wave spectra and their inherent energy constructs of that which exists precisely one-dimensional band below the present station of our consciousness focus. In this section, we will explore a bit about the apparatus of perception that allows us to perceive externalization in such a manner, the facilities of energy inherent to the scalar wave construct of human form, which together work to bring the hologram into perceivable manifestation. We will call the constructs of energy, formed through scalar organization, which allow for perception of the manifest hologram, the human senses. The human senses are the experiential result of organizations of wave patterns inherent to the electrotonal program and scalar organization of human construction. What are senses? Senses are the scalar wave apparatus, and their seemingly manifest parts, that allow the personal morphogenetic field to synthesize and translate frequency from the dimensional bands of the unified field into coherent perceptual and experiential qualities that give embodied consciousness a translation of its relationship to other forms of consciousness within the unified field. Senses, or the apparatus which give us the ability to sense, are scalar arrangements inherent to our form that translate energy signatures from the unified field into usable data of relationship. Like the true substance of the human body and consciousness, the unified field exists as a quantity of dimensionalized energy consciousness in electrotonal scalar waveform, a compartmentalized field of energy signatures, within which a vast number of consciousness constructs exist. The human organism is one such construct of consciousness, and through its inherent form the energy signatures of other scalar forms are translated into perceptual data. The senses are simply energy constructs within the human morphogenetic field that separate and translate energy signatures from the unified field into sets of experiential stimuli, through which the contours of the manifest hologram can be recognized and experienced. The aparthy and perception. The sense facilities are organizations of energy within the morphogenetic field that hold sets of energy receivers or magnetic points of cohesion, into which like frequency patterns from the unified field are drawn in for translation. Every organism has a different configuration of energy receivers within its morphogenetic makeup, and so every organism will have a variation of perception. The morphogenetic energy receivers, or aparthy, of an organism's construction, serve to draw certain frequency bands into the morphogenetic field for translation and to block out other frequency bands, making them unavailable for translation. The frequency bands, or flash lines of partiki phasing, that are blocked out of the personal morphogenetic field, create gaps of perception of the unified field, through which the holographic picture of space between objects, externalization of form and separation of self from the unified field becomes perceivable to the organism. These qualities of objectification are the result of blocked flash line sequences, portions of the scalar fields of the unified field and their inherent sequences of Particle phasing, that cannot translate through the personal morphogenetic field due to the arrangement of the aparthy within the personal morphogenetic structure. Senses as scalar wave constructs and expanding our perception of perception. If it can be recognized that externalization of experience is a perceptual illusion of consciousness created through selectivity of range within the perceptual field, the true nature of the human sense facilities can be better understood as a pattern of interrelated scalar wave forms that serve to block out portions of the unified field so that other portions may be brought more fully into perceivable view. When viewing the physical apparatus through which the known human senses appear to occur as part of a larger, interwoven system of scalar construction, it will be easier to understand that perception is not a localized phenomenon created by and limited to the identified organs of perception. The experiential capacities of even the 5 known human senses have a much broader range than what is presently assumed or identifiable through analysis of the manifest sense organs. If one can understand that perception of manifestation itself is an effect of these greater scalar wave constructs, it will not seem so outrageous to consider the reality and integrity of sensing and perception beyond the range of the presently identified sense facilities. ESP, HSP, and evolution. Extrasensory perception is not extra at all. It is a normal attribute of the evolving human organism, as the consciousness ensconced within the body hologram continues its natural expansion into the greater portions of its evolutionary imprint. Individuals displaying abilities of extrasensory perception are not gifted with something other than what is characteristic to the human form. They are simply a bit ahead in the stage of development of the natural human perceptual capacities. Everyone has dormant potentials for some degree of ESP. Like all things within the human organism, ESP is regulated by the function of the DNA and its naturally intended relationship to the kathara grid and morphogenetic structure. Individuals with fewer distortions and blockages within the kathara grid, and the resulting DNA malfunctions such distortions create, will have greater ease in calling the dormant perceptual facilities into activation. Individuals who consciously attempt to use the greater perceptual facilities will stimulate a more rapid advancement into reclaiming this stage of evolution than those who refuse to acknowledge the existence of their greater sensing facilities. The greater sense facilities bring the higher dimensional wave spectra and its inherent reality fields into the perceptual range of the earthly embodied human consciousness, and so the greater sense facilities can be considered the higher senses, a term far more accurately describing their orientation than the term extrasenses. ESP becomes HSP, higher sensory perception, a natural attribute of experience of the evolving human organism. The 5 known senses. In order to understand the nature of the higher senses, it is necessary to understand a bit more about the nature of the common senses, or the lower senses if you will, for the common senses are those that are tuned to perception of the lower frequency dimensions. Perception of sight, sound, touch, taste and smell are experiential effects of the scalar wave constructs that exist within the nada ova body and the telluric shield, the kathara grid and morphogenetic field structures that are composed of and stationed within the frequency bands of dimensions 1, 2, and 3, the first harmonic of manifestation. The aparthy, or energy receivers, within the nada ova body, have their first imprint within the kathara grid level 2, crystal seals structure. The first pattern for the sense facilities responsible for manifesting the organs or perception of the 5 identified senses exists within the configurations of electrotonal particle units that form the crystalline seals of which the dimensions 2 telluric shield is constructed. Through the particle phasing flash line projections of the telluric shield, the armature or 3-dimensional blueprint for the organs of perception is set for manifestation within the body hologram. The 5 known senses and sound transduction. The 5 known senses are more intimately related than commonly supposed. All represent a form of sound transduction. The frequencies, or FL ashline sequences, within the 1Th, 2Th, and 3Th dimensional bands, that form the identifiable wave patterns presently associated with sound waves, are drawn into the level 2 kathara grid crystal seals by aparthy receivers that carry like flash rhythms. Once drawn into the aparthy receivers, the sound spectrum becomes modulated into different flashline rhythms and sent into the diotic points of the level 3 kathara grid. Once intersecting with the frequencies within the diotic points, the frequencies from the aparthy are then divided and polarized and projected up and down the harmonic one-dimensional scale, creating a pattern of energy refraction within the morphogenetic field and physical body apparatus. The polarized frequencies first appear within the DNA as part of the core electrical vibration, and then further transmute into electrical impulse that manifests as configurations with the blood chemistry and within the central nervous system. These synthesized electrical impulses are further projected through the scalar wave grids that hold the form of the identified sensory organs, finally culminating in the interrelated qualities of perception associated with the identified sensory organs and their 5 known attributes of sensing. The interwoven senses and the uva bodies. As in the case of the lower senses, the higher senses and their experiential manifestations are the product of consciousness interacting with the dimensionalized scalar organization of the human morphogenetic anatomy. Whereas the lower senses are affiliated with the transduction of sound frequency within the first, second, and third dimensions, through the structures of the nada ova body and the telluric shield of the first harmonic, the higher senses are in like fashion associated with the scalar organization of the higher dimensional ova bodies and their corresponding shields. In truth, all of the sensing facilities organic to the human form comprise interwoven and interrelated systems of energy refraction that together create the perceptual experience of externalization within the hologram of manifestation. For example, it is not commonly recognized that the sense of smell is in actuality part of the function of the auditory facility and thus represents an intrinsic part of the sense of hearing. It is also not commonly understood that the processes associated with vision are not only connected to the processes of the brain and central nervous system, but also with the formation of crystalline structures with the plasma of the blood. The senses are not nearly as separate and independently functional as they appear to be when viewed from outside analysis. They are rather a part of an interwoven system of electrotonal information relay that spans the 15-dimensional morphogenetic field anatomy of the human organism. The 12 human senses. In terms of breaking down the sense facilities for structural analysis, such as is done by modern science in identifying the 5 known senses, we will describe the sensory attributes of the higher sense facilities in terms of their primary orientation, location of their primary aparthy receivers within the uva body structures, and by the type of perceptual or experiential attributes produced through their function. In such categorization of the human sense facilities, there are 7 additional, as yet unidentified, sense facilities operating within and through the human consciousness, which are collectively responsible for translating the scalar fields of dimensionalized reality into the illusionary holographic picture of externalized manifestation and its qualities, or space, time, matter, and identity individuation. Collectively, there are 12 primary sensing facilities within 15-dimensional human anatomy. Perceptual blockages, kathara grid distortion, and kathara. The higher senses are connected to the lower senses and provide attributes of perceptual experience characteristic to their dimensional levels, but in the present stage of human genetic evolution, the higher and lower senses are not fully plugged into each other, and so the various higher dimensional fields and the sensory abilities associated with the higher senses appear to be separate or unavailable to the embodied human consciousness. The higher and lower senses plug in through opening of kathara lines in the level 112 tree kathara grid, which creates a reciprocal opening and expansion of the DNA, uvabodes, and activation of dormant nerve networks within the brain, molecular core, and central nervous system of the body. Presently, the human senses are phase-locked into a 3-dimensional perceptual field due to blockages between the 3rd and 4th kathara centers, which block the aparthy receivers within the nada uva body from accepting compatible electrical impulses from the higher dimensional uva bodies. This kathara grid blockage manifests within the body as fragmented units of DNA, or junk DNA, that serve to render the natural processes of multidimensional data transfer into the central nervous system inoperable. Portions of higher dimensional experience come to conscious attention in the form of dream perception or intuitive impression, but the natural clear pathways of multidimensional perception are blocked to a large degree within contemporary humanity. Perceptual blockage and kathara healing. Blockages in the kathara grid, and their reciprocal blockages in the human perceptual field, can be progressively removed through practices of kathara healing and utilizing the Maharic shield to reawaken the organic imprint for health. As kathara blockages are progressively repaired, the genetic code will expand its function by reassembling and activating the presently dormant portions of the DNA imprint. DNA expansion will create reciprocal alterations in the bodily metabolic rate, brain, blood, glandular and hormonal function, particle spin speed and operation of the central nervous system, that will allow for a progressive, natural activation of the higher sense facilities and expansion of the human perceptual field into the multidimensional arena. In kathara healing, the dormant higher senses will be progressively brought into activation, beginning with the 6th Adurya Merkaba sense and the 7th Tristet cellular telepathy sense, though which inner audio. Visual direct cognition skills will progressively develop. These skills will be employed in the processes of kathara healing, and in so doing they will be progressively stimulated into greater levels of activation. As the dormant sense facilities are called into activation, kathara healing techniques to remove kathara grid blockages are used to realign the holographic template to restore the imprint for health, through which natural perceptual expansion will progressively take place. Chapter 2 highlights. Healing occurs through correcting distortions within the kathara grid and uva body shields. The human body blueprint was designed to hold 12 dimensions of frequency and flashline sequences and 12 dimensions of consciousness, the content of 4 out of the 5 uva bodies within the 15-dimensional anatomy. The 4th uva body, the Mahara uva body, is composed of frequencies and partiki phasing flashline sequences of the 10th, 11th, and 12th dimensions. It manifests through the 10th, 11th, and 12th kathara centers and the Maharic shield scalar grid of the 4th harmonic. The Maharic shield of level 2 kathara grid crystal seals holds the original imprint for health, the original flashline sequences of harmonic for pre-matter liquid light, that represent the point of entry into perceivable manifestation. The Maharic shield can be used to repattern the kathara grid holographic template back to the original imprint for health. The flashline sequences of Dimension 12 can override and correct faulty flashline sequences that manifest as distortions within the kathara grid and uva body shields. The Hierophant symbol code is a scalar standing wave pattern containing the electrotonal programs of the 11th and 12th dimensions. The Hierophant symbol code serves as a frequency waveguide through which the Maharic shield can be activated to run 11th and 12th dimensional frequency through the kathara grid for repatterning the imprint for health within the core holographic template of the body. Using the Hierophant symbol code, the planetary biofeed interface system can be activated to empower the kathara grid repatterning process via drawing frequency from the planetary Maharic shield. Morphogenetic expansion. Growth through time is created through frequency accretion, drawing frequency bands from the dimensional unified fields of consciousness into the personal morphogenetic field for expansion. When the kathara grid is functioning properly, there are set morphogenetic field expansion periods within the linear growth cycles of the human body. 1. Fetal integration to age 11 to 12. 2. Harmonic 2, integration age 12 to 22. 3. Harmonic 3, integration age 22 to 33. 4. Harmonic 4, integration age 33 to 44. If the kathara grid is working properly, the body does not die but rather progressively transmutes into less dense states of matter in an eternal body form, via accretion of the 4 harmonics of frequency. Present kathara distortions block integration of harmonic 2 and begin molecular compaction, body degeneration and death. Levels of human anatomy. The Kathara grid is the core holographic template upon which the human body and consciousness enter dimensionalization in order to experience manifestation. There are 3 levels to the human Kathara grid: Level 1, the 12 tree, Level 2, crystal seals, and Level 3, dyadic points. Kathara Level 1 12 tree contains the primary 12 Kathara centers and primary 15 Kathara lines that correspond to various regions of the physical body and bioenergetic field, and with ground consciousness into the framework of dimensionalization. Kathara Level 2 crystal seals contain the signets, which are consolidated points of dimensional frequency, the shields, which are 3-dimensional scalar wave disk emanating from sets of 3 signets, through which the uva body energy capsules form, and the star crystal seals and seed crystal seals, through which the chakras and bioenergetic field levels emerge. Kathara Level 3 dyadic points are coordinate points where the flashline sequences from one shield and its seals cross over and through those of other shields to form minute white hole vortices of energy consciousness relay between the uva bodes and stations of identity. Uva bodes are 3-dimensional scalar grids in the form of concentric spheres that form around each shield in the Kathara Level 2 crystal seals grid, which serve as tissue capsule encasements around each harmonic of energy identity within the 15-dimensional scale. There are 5-dimensionalized REA uva bodies forming human anatomy, which emanate from the 5 3-dimensional scalar shields of the Level 2 Kathara grid. Each shield and uva body corresponds to 3 Kathara centers in the Level 1 12 tree grid. 5 REA uva bodies and corresponding shields: Nada uva, telluric shield, dimensions 1 to 3. Alphi uva, duratic shield, dimensions 4 to 6. Bechya uva, turic shield, dimensions 7 to 9. Mahara uva, maharic shield, dimensions 10 to 12. Raja uva, rishik shield, dimensions 13 to 15. The signets and the shields can be used to direct the function of the Kathara Level 1 12 tree grid and all built upon it. Kathara centers can be used to trigger activation of the signets and shields. The first 4 uva bodies and their horizontal shields are most important in terms of human evolution. Activation of the signets activates their corresponding shield, which in turn releases the tissue capsules between uva bodies, allowing merger to occur. When the first 4 shields activate, the body is able to integrate the avatar identity and transmute into pre-matter liquid light wave form. In Kathara, healing the harmonic for maharic shield is used to restore integrity to all shields and uva bodies below, which progressively clears the Kathara grid of distortions. Level 1 Kathara lines direct the vertical flash lines, Level 2 crystal seals control the horizontal flash lines, and Level 3 dyadic points govern diagonal flash lines. Together, the 3 levels of the Kathara grid form the 3-plane armature upon which the 3-dimensional hologram is created. Each signet, within a uva body shield, holds the electrotonal program for 1 seed crystal seal. Each seed crystal seal corresponds to 1 Level 1 Kathara center and holds the program for 1 primary axiom line, a single-axis dimensional flashline sequence. The 12 primary axiom line programs of the seed crystal seals create separate dimensionalized bands of frequency within each uva body, forming a distinction between dimensionalized levels within the bioenergetic auric field. The axiom flash lines cross over and through each other to form the coordinate points between the shields, through which the Level 3 dyadic point vortices emerge. The points in the Kathara grid, where axiom lines cross over and through the central vertical Kathara line, in the Level 1 grid, and the horizontal flash lines, in the crystal seals of the Level 2 grid, form consolidate dyadic points with numerous dyadic vortices. These are called chakras. Each chakra corresponds to an axiom line, auric level, seed seal, Kathara center, and dimensional frequency band and Merkaba field. The 12 primary axiotonal lines are a set of 12 vertical energy flow lines that run through the body, which are created by the consistent crossover points of the rotating, single-axis flash line sequences projected from the seed crystal seals. Axiotonal lines 11 and 12 combine with the central vertical vertical kathara line to form the hara line, the foundation of the central body current. The hara level is the outer level of the kathara level 2 crystal seals grid, can be viewed from 9th dimensional perception and is used in kathara healing level 2. The hara level is composed of the hara line, 6 primary hara points and the complexes of energy processing they govern. Axiotonal lines and hara level of the kathara level 2 crystal seals grid are elements of 15-dimensional anatomy that are used in later applications of kathara healing. Axiotonal lines set the core electrotonal scalar wave program upon which the DNA will manifest. The human DNA imprint contains the program for 12 strands of DNA, one manifesting upon each of the 12 primary axiotonal lines. The human form was designed to embody 12 dimensions of consciousness. The original human genetic code is called the silicate matrix, and when operational it allows human cellular structure to transmute through 4 harmonics of matter density. The silicate matrix is mutated in present-day humans due to ancient kathara grid blockages, which manifest as distortion of form and function within the DNA. Junk DNA is part of this distortion. Contemporary human DNA can be reverse mutated, and its interdimensional functions restored, by applications of kathara healing. Each of the 12 strands of DNA corresponds to one of 12-dimensional frequency bands, kathara centers, seed crystal seals, signets, axiotonal lines, and chakras. Each uva body shield governs the function of a set of 3 DNA strands. The 12 human senses. The human senses are the experiential result of the scalar standing wave organization inherent to the human form. Senses are scalar arrangements that translate energy signatures from the unified field into usable data of relationship. The sensing systems are built upon sets of energy receivers within the morphogenetic field that are called aparthi. The aparthi, inherent to kathara structure, serve to block certain flash line sequences out of the morphogenetic field and allow others in to translate into perception. The flash line sequences, blocked by the aparthi, create gaps of perception of the unified field, which give us the experience of externalization and separation of form. Aparthi receivers create refraction and polarization of flash line sequences that translate into a variety of identifiable holographic sensory perceptions. The sense facilities correspond to the structure of the uva body shield and DNA. In categorizing the interwoven sense facilities by their primary orientation, location of their aparthi receivers within the uva bodies and the experiential attributes they produce, the human organism can be said to possess 12 primary senses. The 5 known senses are products of operations of the nada uva body and telluric shield, and thus correspond to dimensions 1 to 3. There are 7 as yet unidentified senses that correspond to the higher dimensional uva bodies, shields and presently dormant strands of DNA. As we evolve to activate and reverse mutate the DNA imprint, through uva body alignment and merger, the experiential attributes of the higher dimensional senses will become more apparent. Due to their dimensional affiliation, the 5 known senses can be viewed as the lower senses, the higher dimensional senses as the higher senses. Perception through the higher senses is called higher sensory perception or HSP. Chapter 3. Kathara healing beginning applications, creating field integrity and building the knowledge base. Tapping the inner mentor and awakening the 6th and 7th senses. Morphogenetic repatterning, frequency subharmonics and the Maharic seal. Kathara points and Kathara point sequences. Opening the planetary bio-feed interface system and the Maharic seal, the structures of multidimensional identity and the 4 primary triadic healing currents. Levels of consciousness and the perceptual bridge. In earlier texts, we have learned of the structure human consciousness takes when entering the scalar fields of dimensionalization for the perceivable experience of manifestation. In comprehending the true structure of multidimensional anatomy, with its kathara grid, uva bodies and shields, dyadic points and levels of bioenergetic substance, we can begin to see that there is much more to human consciousness than meets the eye, much more energy identity operating, presently beyond the view of our three-dimensionally focused earthly personality. There are portions of our consciousness stationed within the ova bodies of the higher dimensional fields, and these expanded levels of ourselves hold knowledge and participate in perceptual experience beyond the usual range of our waking perceptions. As we evolve and expand, through ova body integration and the resulting activation of dormant DNA components, we will progressively have greater conscious access to these expanded levels of consciousness while we are actively focused within the waking three-dimensionally embodied state. However, we do not have to wait until our evolution plods along to bring us to these expanded perceptual states. We can, from our waking state of three-dimensional consciousness, begin to actively tap this hidden reservoir of knowledge and perceptual experience. We can take an active hand in expediting the process of our multidimensional evolution by using our Dimension 3 mental body awareness to direct our higher awareness into our current range of perception. We can begin to build a perceptual bridge between our third-dimensional and higher-dimensional consciousness. In taking the initiative for building this bridge of consciousness, we begin to stimulate our higher senses into operation, expediting the natural process of higher identity integration. Through building a perceptual bridge between our present state of awareness and the levels of our consciousness stationed in the higher dimensional ova bodies, we can actively expedite our own bio-spiritual evolution. The perceptual bridge and creating the mentor. The higher dimensional levels of human consciousness are not dormant within their respective dimensional bands of function, they are quite awake and aware within their own dimensional fields. As we perceive and interact with the three-dimensional world, within which our present awareness is focused, the higher dimensional portions of our consciousness are also actively perceiving and interacting with the dimensional environments within which they are focused. Higher dimensional aspects of our awareness seem cut off from our perceptual view because our consciousness is presently focused through a genetic code arrangement and kathara grid orientation that blocks out the frequencies of those higher stations of identity. If we can realize that expanded portions of our consciousness simultaneously exist within the higher dimensional frequency bands, we can also realize that it is possible to access such levels of our own identity by building perceptual bridges between our three-dimensional perspective and the portions of our consciousness stationed within the higher dimensional ova bodies. We can begin to build a perceptual bridge between ourselves and our higher selves by using simple frequency modulation techniques of kathara healing. Creating the mentor will begin the process of activating dormant DNA, opening new nerve networks within the central nervous system of the three-dimensional body, and activating dormant aparthy frequency receivers within the level crystal seals kathara grid. Through creating the mentor, we begin to build the perceptual bridge between the first and 2D harmonic of our conscious awareness. The mentor is a portion of our identity that we create to serve as an intermediary focus of awareness between the nada ova body and the alpha ova body, a perceptual bridge between our first and second harmonics of consciousness. The mentor and kathara healing. In the practices of kathara healing, we will use the mentor as a source of guidance, information retrieval, objective observation, and as a communications link between our own higher consciousness and the higher levels of consciousness in those who come to us for healing facilitation. Awakening and working with the mentor will become a standard practice in our applications of kathara healing. In creating the mentor, we are using our creative power of scalar grid manifestation. Thoughts and mental images are scalar grid morphogenetic field forms, to bring into being a specialized portion of our consciousness that can relay frequency from our higher harmonics of consciousness to our three-dimensionally focused identity. With repeated use of the mentor focus of awareness, we will develop the ability to simultaneously hold two harmonics of consciousness, and we will begin to reclaim the natural flexibility of focus that is the healthful condition of embodied human consciousness. Through the mentor focus of attention, we can reach higher levels of cognition and understanding regarding application of healing facilitation, and we will more rapidly call into awakening the higher sense facilities of the 15-dimensional anatomy. Other uses of the mentor focus. In creating the mentor focus, we will begin to realize that even the three-dimensional focus of awareness with which we are most familiar is more flexible than once supposed. The mentor is not simply an inert creation, but rather a living portion of our conscious identity composed of portions of the waking self and portions of the higher self. Mentor can become an advisor, a portion of self able to keep its head above the illusion when you are confronted with challenging events in the three-dimensional arena. A part of you able to remain calm, focused and able to make clear decisions beyond the confusion of mental or emotional body processing. Mentor can be sent into the cellular memory of the body to locate core issues or reincarnational blockages and can serve to moderate between subpersonality fragments and the inner child. Mentor can likewise be used to harmonize communications between self and others, as you can send the mentor focus into the higher dimensional fields to connect with the higher selves of others for conflict resolution. Playing with the mentor focus can also have great rewards. You can focus your attention in the mentor space and then direct the mentor across the room to begin practicing effects of bilocation. You can travel with mentor to distant locations to develop remote viewing skills, which will be used in later kathara healing levels for remote healing facilitation. Mentor can become a vehicle for conscious transport of your awareness, while awake, and also in dreaming and higher dimensional projection. Technique 1. Awakening the mentor and the sixth and seventh senses. Awakening the mentor. 1. Place the fingertips of both hands and the focus of attention at the navel. Take a few slow, full breaths, then visualize the image of a blue fire.me, like a gas stove flame, deep inside the body behind the navel. Gently massage the navel region while envisioning the blue flame too. Stop massage and visualize a sphere of white light within the blue flame behind the navel. Place your attention within the white sphere and imagine that you can feel its reality around you, as if you are silting within the wild light sphere. 3. Breathe gently and visualize the wild light sphere moving upward through the center of your body until it reaches the center of the brain at the pineal gland. Stop movement of the white light sphere at the pineal gland, then visualize the white light sphere moving to the right in a straight, horizontal line outside of the body until it is positioned in your auric field, just above your right shoulder. The white light sphere, positioned over the right shoulder, now represents a portion of your awareness that was raised to the fifth dimensional frequencies via its passage through the blue flame and the 5-inch kathara center at the navel. You will name this part of your higher identity mentor. 4. Imagine that you can feel the reality of the white light sphere that holds your mentor resting gently above your right shoulder as a fuzzy ball of energy. Mentor serves as the meeting point between your waking conscious mind and the fifth dimensional portion of your soul matrix identity, the archetype. With practice, you can learn the energy of your waking awareness from its position within your head over to the right and into the mentor sphere, to receive direct cognition and audio and visual guidance from your fifth dimensional identity station. In healing facilitation, mentor will communicate with the fifth dimensional archetype aspect of your client's soul matrix, asking how you may best serve the client's highest evolution. Guidance mentor receives will be translated to you from mentor in the form of intuitive urge, spontaneous cognition, or audio-visual directions. Mentor will also serve as a translator of information from your higher dimensional stations of identity to your conscious mind. Mentor can also be taken into the dream state with you to assist in dream recall and initiating out-of-body travel. 5. Practice creating and sensing the mentor sphere over your right shoulder. Carry it around with you wherever you go and play with moving the focus of your consciousness back and forth between the inside of your head and mentor. Try perceiving from both focuses of attention simultaneously. Such play will help stimulate neurological sensitivities to translating and perceiving information from the fifth and higher dimensional stations of awareness. Technique 1 continued, awakening the mentor and the sixth and seventh senses, awakening the sixth and seventh senses, the Adurya and the Tristet. 1. Focus your attention on the mentor sphere over your right shoulder. Take a few slow, deep breaths and visualize mentor expanding into a sphere the size of a basketball. Use the next inhale to draw the mentor sphere toward your head, visualizing mentor moving from over your right shoulder to a position surrounding your entire head. Exhale, stop the movement of the mentor sphere, and imagine that you can feel its fuzzy energy all around the outside at your head, as your head is now within the basketball-sized mentor sphere. 2. With the next inhale breath, contract mentor into a small sphere of white light positioned inside the center of the brain, at the pineal gland. Exhale and breathe slowly for a moment. With the next exhale breath, push the small mentor sphere from the pineal gland, straight forward and into the 6th chakra at the forehead. Visualize mentor moving into the 6th chakra from inside the head, then continuing to move through the 6th chakra spiral straight outward and away from the body. Imagine the mentor sphere traveling outward through the long blue-violet tunnel of the 6th spiral, until you visually lose track of the mentor sphere far out in front of you. 3. Take a few slow breaths. Then on the next inhale, visualize the mentor sphere reappearing in the distance of your 6th chakra spiral and riding in on the inhale breath, back into the pineal gland. Breathe slowly. 4. With the next exhale, visualize the mentor sphere moving down from the pineal gland at the center of the brain, stopping at the center of the 5th chakra in the throat. Breathe slowly. On the next exhale, push the mentor sphere straight outward, imagining it moving from inside the throat into the blue-green spiral of the 5th chakra. Visualize mentor riding the current of the exhale. Breathe out into the distance within the blue-green tunnel of the 5th chakra spiral, until it fades from view. Take a few slow breaths and on the next inhale, imagine mentor returning through the 5th chakra blue-green spiral to rest deep within the throat. Use the final inhale to move mentor back up to the pineal gland and the final exhale to push the mentor sphere back out to its home position in the auric field, over the right shoulder. This process opens up the 1st to 5th sub-frequency bands within each dimensional layer of the 6th and 5-inch chakras, beginning the process of opening the 6th Adurya and Tristet senses, stimulating inner vision and audio to higher dimensional frequency perception. Technique 1, condensed version, awakening the mentor and the 6th and 7th senses. Awakening the mentor. 1. Fingertips at navel, see blue flame embodied behind navel. Massage navel with fingertips. 2. See white sphere in blue flame at navel. Imagine yourself in white sphere, feel it around you. 3. Move white sphere up to pineal gland, see white sphere move out over right shoulder, creating your mentor. 4. Feel mentor as fuzzy ball of energy hanging in your auric field, over your right shoulder. 5. Practice shifting the focus of your attention back and forth between usual focus and mentor. Awakening the 6th and 7th senses. 1. Expand mentor over right shoulder to size of basketball. Inhale, drawing mentor around your head, as if your head is inside the basketball size energy that is mentor. 2. Inhale, contracting mentor into pineal gland as a small sphere of white light. Exhale to push mentor out of the pineal gland out to chakra 6 and into the blue-violet tunnel of the chakra 6 spiral. 3. Inhale mentor back from blue-violet tunnel of chakra 6 and into the pineal gland. 4. Exhale mentor from pineal gland to chakra 5. Exhale mentor out through chakra 5 blue-green tunnel. Inhale mentor back through blue-green tunnel, into chakra 5 at throat. Inhale mentor up from chakra 5 to pineal gland. Exhale mentor out from pineal gland to its home station over right shoulder. Morphogenetic repatterning. Kathara healing and reaching the core of disease. In earlier text we have explored the significance of the kathara grid and its role as the holographic template upon which the morphogenetic field, body and consciousness manifest within the LS dimensional system. We have learned that the kathara grid is the core template upon which the morphogenetic field manifests, and that the morphogenetic field is the blueprint upon which the body systems and embodied consciousness manifest. Through our study of these core structures of manifestation, we come to realize that true and lasting health or healing must be approached from the deepest levels of personal creation, the morphogenetic reality within which all disease conditions have their origin. Kathara healing applications are intended to reach the core of systems malfunction, the various levels of the morphogenetic field and kathara grid, in order to restore the imprint for health within the holographic template for manifestation. The Mahara of a body, Maharic shield, and the imprint for health. In Level 1 Kathara healing, we will learn the first and most important level of restructuring the holographic template to hold its original imprint for health, the Maharic recoding process. The Maharic shield is the manifestation template, upon which the Mahara of a body of harmonic for manifests. The Mahara of a body is the scalar grid that holds the 10th, 11th, and 12th dimensional aspects of consciousness and represents the original point of manifestation, the creation point, when consciousness moved from its pure scalar wave state of being into the dimensionalized scalar grids, through which the illusion of external holographic projection could be experienced. The Mahara of a body, and its station in harmonic universe 4, represent the original pre-matter liquid light fields of manifestation through which we passed in order to enter the experience of density and individuation of matter form. Prior to our entering the dimensionalization of the systems within which matter can be perceived, we existed in pure scalar wave form, a scalar pattern that held the original, pure and perfect pattern for our creation as consciousness. The Mahara of a body and the Maharic shield are the liquid light pre-matter scalar templates that hold our original pattern of wholeness, our original creation imprint. Our creation imprint is the original imprint for health, the condition of eternal being, free from uva body distortions picked up in the lower dimensional fields. The 12th dimension and frequency subharmonics. In Level 1 Kathara healing, we will utilize the imprint for health, as held within the Maharic shield, to begin repatterning the Kathara grid back to its original level of function. The frequencies of the 12th dimension, as embodied within the Maharic shield, contain within them, as frequency subharmonics, all of the frequency bands from the dimensions below, along with the natural frequency spectra characteristic of the 12th dimension. Each dimensional frequency band within the first dimensional spectra contains within itself its own 12 primary subfrequency bands, portions of the whole dimensional Partiki phasing flashline sequences, plus a reflection set of the frequency spectra from all of the dimensional bands below. For example, Dimension 2 contains its own 12 primary subfrequency bands, plus a reflection set of the 12 primary subfrequency bands that make up the Dimension 1 frequency band below. Dimension 1 has 12 primary subfrequency bands. Dimensions 2 thus has 12 primary subfrequency bands plus 12 secondary subfrequency bands from Dimension 1 for a total of 24 subharmonics in Dimension 2. This pattern of frequency subharmonics builds upward through the 15-dimensional scale. The 12th dimensional frequency band has a total of 144 subharmonics. 12 frequency bands multiply by 12 subfrequency bands each, which is 144 subharmonic frequency bands. Because the 12th dimension holds, within itself, all of the frequency spectra and scalar grid programs from the lower dimensions, the 12th dimensional frequencies have the ability to plug into and override any Partiki phasing flashline pattern from the lower dimensional fields. The original pattern of creation for the lower dimensional structure itself is held within the 12th dimensional frequencies, and so the 12th dimensional subharmonics can be used to correct any distortion in the dimensional frequencies of the lower uva bodies and their shields. The Maharic shield and the 12th dimension. As the Maharic shield and Mahara uva body are composed of 10th, 11th, and 12th dimensional scalar grids, they contain within them the 144 frequency subharmonics of the entire 12-dimensional spectrum. The human morphogenetic field is designed to hold the 144 subharmonic spectrum, which is fulfilled through activation of the original 12-strand DNA silicate matrix gene code. Because of its 144 subharmonic scalar wave spectrum, the 12th dimensional level of the Maharic shield can reset the original, non-distorted imprint of Partiki phasing flashline sequences, within the entire Kathara grid 12 tree, the Kathara centers, Kathara lines, the ova bodies, DNA, and within any level of the morphogenetic field and manifest body built upon them. The Maharic Shield is the Kathara reset button. The Maharic Shield, core of healing therapeutics. To restore the imprint for health within the body-mind-spirit system, the holographic template of scalar grids upon which the system manifests must be restored to its original function. Topical applications of healing modalities within the physical body, biochemistry, DNA, auric field, chakra system. Level 2 crystal seals and Level 3 diotic points of the Kathara grid can create temporary change toward healing, but the disharmonic conditions held within the core Level 112 tree Kathara grid will eventually override alterations made to the outer levels of the morphogenetic field or body systems. Working with outer levels of the biosystem can assist in the healing process, but first the imprint for health must be restored within the Level 112 tree Kathara grid. The Level 112 tree Kathara grid, with its Kathara centers and Kathara lines, is created upon the 144 frequency subharmonic pattern. As the Maharic Shield and Mahara Ova body are the only portions of the dimensionalized scalar grid anatomy that hold the full 12th dimensional frequency band, with its 144 subharmonics, the Maharic Shield and its corresponding 10 to 12 Kathara centers are the only portions of the morphogenetic anatomy that can override and restructure the electrotonal scalar standing wavepoint arrangements within the Level 1 Kathara grid. Thus, it is with the Maharic Shield that core healing therapeutics must begin. Critical mass and simultaneous healing of core and outer morphogenetic levels. Activating the Maharic Shield will open, activate and realign the scalar wave flash line sequences of dormant Kathara centers, Kathara lines, crystal seals, ova bodies, diotic points, chakras and DNA within the outer levels of the morphogenetic field and body. Once the imprint for health has been temporarily restored, within the core holographic template Kathara grid, via running the flash line sequences of the Maharic Shield through the Level 1 Kathara grid, the outer layers of the anatomy can be further realigned to expedite manifestation of the Kathara grid repatterning into the outer levels of the biosystem. Technique 2, the Maharic Seal and the Liquid Light Cleanse, begins the process of running the 12th dimensional flashline sequences, via their frequency subharmonics, through the Kathara 12 tree grid, to repattern distorted flashline sequences within the core holographic template. In the beginning of using this technique, the effects of this reprogramming will last only several hours, as the outer levels of the biofield will have greater critical mass in their distortion patterns than the Kathara grid can immediately override. Full healing comes when the renewed imprint for health reaches critical mass within the morphogenetic field. Critical mass is reached via frequent use of the Maharic Seal and outer level biofield therapeutics. Kathara healing theory and applied methods. In Kathara healing, the first priority is to reset the integrity of the Kathara Level 1, 12 tree grid by repatterning its flashline sequence program to the Maharic Shield via the Maharic Seal and Liquid Light Cleanse. This process sets the electrotonal ground within which alterations of outer morphogenetic levels can connect, reawakening dormant aparthy frequency receivers within the Level 2 crystal seals, which allows the morphogenetic field level to expand enough to hold the higher frequencies of the imprint for health. After the healing ground is set within the Kathara grid, additional applications of Kathara healing can then be applied to various other levels of the Kathara grid, morphogenetic field, and body. There is an infinite variety of Kathara healing bioenergetic applications that range from Level 1, 2, and 3 Kathara grid work, reprogramming the Kathara centers, Kathara lines, ova bodies, shields and signets, reversing the miasmic karmic imprint and accelerating the opening of the diotic points, to working with the chakra system, meridian and axiom lines, DNA and physical body points, while running the triadic currents for healing. In coming levels of the Kathara healing program, we will learn the use of the geomancies and fire letters, key symbol codes that serve as scalar wave guides to reset the electrotonal flash line sequences within the morphogenetic body, and the application of the symbol codes to the treatment of specific physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual disease conditions. We will explore working with the color capstones of the dimensional frequency bands and how they can be used in combination with the symbol codes for use in manifesting desired conditions and demanifesting undesirables, both within the body and in the three-dimensional life drama. Applications of the Level 1 Kathara Healing Program. In Program Level 1, we are setting the foundations upon which all other skill levels of Kathara healing are built. The focus of the Level 1 program is to create morphogenetic repatterning via the Maharic shield and to begin clearing the miasmic and karmic imprint that blocks various areas of the Uva body imprint. We will next learn to add force and power to our morphogenetic recoding process by opening the planetary biofeed interface system to draw energy directly from the planetary Maharic shield, and we will begin learning of the physical body massage point sequences 1 and 2 Kathara points, through which we can begin to regulate the flow of energy within the biosystem for regeneration of the imprint for health and revitalization of the body-mind-spirit system. Sequence 1 and 2 Kathara points. Sequence 1, Kathara points for regeneration. Sequence 1 Kathara points are mini energy vortex points in the body that connect directly to dyadic points within the Kathara Level 2 dyadic points grid. Stimulation of the Kathara points affects the movement of energy within related areas of the Kathara grid, which creates a reciprocal movement of energy within the cellular structure, corresponding to the Kathara points, when used in proper sequence. Sequence 1 Kathara points open energetic gateways to the Kathara lines of the Kathara Level 112 tree grid, allowing patterns of frequency to be entered into the Kathara lines, to realign disharmonic patterns of frequency running through the holographic program of the Kathara lines, when the Kathara lines are open to receive 11th and 12th dimensional frequency infusions from the Mahara Uva body. The holographic program of the Kathara grid can be progressively regenerated to the imprint for health, as held within the program of the Maharic shield. Sequence 1 Kathara points are used to open the Kathara lines prior to Technique 2, the Maharic seal, and the liquid light cleanse, and Technique 4, the Maharic infusion. It is not necessary to close the Kathara lines after using Sequence 1 points, as they will close automatically in several hours. If one desires to further revitalize the cellular structure, running the Sequence 2 Kathara points for closing the Kathara lines will increase the amount of energy running through the body cells, as the Kathara lines are no longer absorbing the energy. Sequence 1 points regenerate and rebalance the Kathara core first, which creates more lasting, but less immediate, changes in the body. Sequence 2 points close the Kathara lines if they are opened and draw energy from the Maharic shield directly into the bioenergetic field and physical cells, rather than the core Kathara grid, creating more immediate, but temporary, revitalization of the body. The patterns held within the Kathara grid core holographic template will eventually override those set in the bioenergetic field alone. Used in combination with each other, the Sequence 1 and Sequence 2 Kathara points can effect more lasting revitalization by simultaneously realigning the core template and the outer layers of the bioenergetic system and cellular structure. In combination with other Kathara healing techniques, the effects and restoration at the imprint for health are further amplified and accelerated. Sequence 2 Kathara points for revitalization. Sequence 2 Kathara point are mini energy vortex points in the body that, like Sequence 1 Kathara points, connect directly to dyadic points within the Kathara Level 3 dyadic points grid. Stimulation of the Kathara points affects the movement of energy within related areas of the Kathara grid, which creates a reciprocal movement of energy within the biofield and cellular structure corresponding to the Kathara points. When used in proper sequence, Sequence 2 Kathara points close the energetic gateways to the Kathara lines of the Kathara Level 112 tree grid, which the Sequence 1 points had opened. Closing the Kathara lines, governed by the Sequence 1 Kathara paints, create a reciprocal opening of the nadial lines, nadis energy rivulets that carry energy from the Nada Uva body and nadial capsule, into the physically manifest systems, within the outer levels of the bioenergetic field. Opening of the corresponding nadis allows restorative patterns of frequency to be entered into the outer levels of the bioenergetic field and chakras. system, to realign disharmonic patterns of frequency running through the chakras, auric field, and physical cells. When the nadis, chakras and outer bioenergetic field are open to receive 11th and 12th dimensional frequency infusions from the Mahara Ova body, the energetic integrity of the physical cells and bioenergetic field can be progressively revitalized with the Maharic frequency and the imprint for health, as held within the program of the Maharic shield. Sequence 2 Kathara points are used to close the Kathara lines, following Technique 4, the Maharic infusion. They may also be used alone, with deep breathing, for frequent healing support, to draw energy up from the Maharic shield, through the Kathara grid and into the outer levels of the bioenergetic field. Directing Maharic frequency into the outer levels of the bioenergetic field regenerates the imprint for health within and directly revitalizes the body cells for accelerated body-mind-spirit healing. If one desires to revitalize the cellular structure, running the sequence 2 Kathara points, for closing the Kathara lines, will increase the amount of energy running through the body cells, as the Kathara lines are no longer absorbing the energy. Sequence 2 Kathara points revitalize and rebalance the outer levels of the bioenergetic field first, which creates more immediate but temporary revitalization of the body as restorative energies do not directly enter the levels 1 Kathara grid. To create lasting change when using the sequence 2 points alone, restorative electrotonal programs must be repeatedly entered into the bioenergetic field until the new programs reach critical mass, at which time the new programs will begin to subtly influence the programs held within the Kathara grid. The primary difference between Sequence 1 and Sequence 2 Kathara points is this: Sequence 1 points channel energy from the Maharic shield into the core Kathara grid holographic template. Sequence 2 points channel energy from the Maharic shield into the outer levels of the biofield and body cells. For this reason, the effects of Sequence 2 Kathara points are more immediate and those of Sequence 1 Kathara points are more permanent. The patterns held within the Kathara grid core holographic template eventually override those set into the outer biofield alone. Used in combination with each other and other heating applications, the Sequence 1 and Sequence 2 Kathara points can effect more lasting revitalization by simultaneously realigning the core template and the outer layers of the biofield and cellular structure. Using Kathara point sequence, in combination with each other and other Kathara healing techniques, will amplify and accelerate the effects and restorative function of the imprint for health within the body-mind-spirit system. 14 Sequence 1 Kathara points, regeneration of the imprint for health. Sequence 1 Kathara points open energetic gateways within the Kathara lines of the Kathara level 112 tree grid, to receive electrotonal reprogramming for regeneration of the imprint for health. Sequence 1 points are used to open the Kathara lines prior to other energy healing applications, to open the Kathara grid so the regenerative patterns of other healing applications can ground within the Kathara grid. Sequence 1 points regenerate and rebalance the Kathara core first, creating more lasting but less immediate changes in the body. And the points are Kathara point 1, crown. Kathara points 2 and 3, temples. Kathara point 4, base of skull. Kathara points 5 and 6, below shoulders. Kathara points 7 and 8, abdomen in from hips. Kathara points 9 and 10, backs of knees. Kathara points 11 and 12, soles and tops of feet. Kathara point 13, fourth heart chakra. Kathara point 14, sixth third eye chakra. Instructions: breathe slowly and deeply. Imagine a flow of energy running from the Maharic shield, 12-inch below feet, up into the body through the sales of the feet and the first chakra. Gently rub the Kathara points with fingertips for 10 to 20 seconds each, following the precise sequence described above. 6 Sequence 2 Kathara points, revitalization of the imprint for health. Sequence 2 Kathara points close energetic gateways within the Kathara lines of the Kathara level 112 tree grid, to direct restorative frequencies into the outer levels of the bioenergetic field for revitalization of the imprint for health within the physical cells. Sequence 2 points are used to close the kathara lines following use of the Sequence 1 kathara points or other energy healing applications, to close the kathara grid so revitalizing frequencies can directly enter various outer levels of the bioenergetic field, such as the auric levels, chakras, meridians, DNA, and physical cells. Sequence 2 points revitalize and rebalance the outer levels of the bioenergetic field first, creating more immediate but temporary changes in the body. The points are, points 1 and 2, neck, below ears. Points 3 and 4, below cheekbones. Points 5, base of tailbone. Point 6, thymus. Instructions: breathe slowly and deeply. Imagine a flow of energy running from the Maharic shield, 12-inch below feet, up into the body through the soles of the feet and the first chakra. Gently rub the kathara points with fingertips for 10 to 20 seconds each, following the precise sequence described above. Technique 2, the Maharic seal and the liquid light cleanse. 1. Close your eyes and visualize the image of a flat, two-dimensional line drawing, six-pointed Star of David, the Merkaba star, made of white light, stationed at the sixth chakra on the inside of the forehead. If you cannot yet generate inner visualizations, simply imagine that the symbol is there. Continue to visualize or imagine and move the white Merkaba star image over toward the left in your inner field of vision. In the center of your inner field of vision, visualize the image of another Merkaba star, made of a dark silver light. Observe or imagine the two Merkaba stars in your inner field of vision and then slowly move the images toward each other until they have merged into one Merkaba star symbol made of pale silver light. The pale silver double Merkaba star symbol is called the Hierophant. It is the scalar wave template that governs the release of phase lock on the Maharic shield. 2. Visualize the Hierophant symbol clearly in mind, then shift attention to the sound of your breath. Take several slow, deep breaths. On the next exhale, use the force of the breath to forcefully push the Hierophant down from its position at the sixth chakra, through the central body current and into the Earth's core. Take a few more slow breaths while visualizing the Hierophant symbol in the center of the Earth's core. Imagine now that the Hierophant begins to spin in the Earth's core, the dark silver Merkaba star and the white Merkaba star spinning in opposite directions. Spin the Hierophant progressively faster until it takes on a life of its own and suddenly pops and expands to form a pale silver sphere of light spinning in the Earth's core. 3. Observe the pale silver Hierophant sphere spinning in the Earth's core, then visualize that a huge, horizontal pale silver spinning disk emerges out from the Hierophant sphere, forming a massive pale silver disk of light spinning throughout the Earth and extending outward into the atmosphere as a rotating horizontal plane. This horizontal disk plane, extending through the Earth, represents the Mahara Ova body, or Maharic shield. Of the planetary morphogenetic field, the pre-matter liquid light scalar grid composed of frequency from dimensions 10, 11, and 12, known as the Shield of Aramatana. Using the Hierophant wave template, you have now activated the planetary Maharic shield, opening the planetary biofeed interface system info your bioenergetic field. This constitutes opening your personal kathara grid and morphogenetic field into the planetary kathara grid and morphogenetic field, allowing you to draw an unlimited supply of energy from the planetary field. You can draw in only as much as your personal morphogenetic field can hold. With repetition of this practice, the energy holding capacity of your kathara grid progressively increases, allowing you a continually expanding supply of energy for healing and revitalization. Technique 2 continued, the Maharic seal and the liquid light cleanse. 4. While remaining aware of the planetary Maharic shield, spinning on a horizontal plane throughout the Earth's body, return the focus of your attention to the spinning sliver Hierophant sphere, rotating at Earth's core. You will now use the Hierophant sphere to activate your personal Maharic shield and release the 12th dimensional pillar of light within your bioenergetic field. Take several slow, deep breaths while visualizing the Hierophant sphere spinning in Earth's core. On the next inhale, draw the Hierophant sphere up from Earth's core with the inhale breath, forming a pale sliver cord, about 6 inch thick, trailing behind the Hierophant as it rises to the 12th chakra, 6 beneath the feel. One end of the silver cord remains rooted in Earth's core, the other end is attached to the Hierophant sphere and follows its movement. Visualize the 12th chakra as a small, transparent disc about 3 inch in diameter, positioned 6 below the feel. Stop the movement of the Hierophant in the center of the 12-inch chakra. Imagine the sphere beginning to spin and visualize the diameter of the 12 chakra disc expanding to about 6 in diameter, as the Hierophant spins at its center. Take a few slow deep breaths as the Hierophant spins in the center of the 12th chakra. 5. On the next inhale, draw the Hierophant sphere up from the 12th chakra, through the central body current and up to the 14th chakra, 36 foot above the head. As the Hierophant sphere rises, visualize the 6-foot thick sliver cord drawing up through the 12th chakra and farther up through the central body current, following the path of the Hierophant sphere to the 14th chakra. Visualize the silver cord as a long, thick pale sliver cord of light, running from Earth's core, through your body and out the top of your head, connecting to the 14th chakra, 36 above the head. Take several deep, slow breaths while imagining that you can feel the sensation of this massive current of clear, pure energy running through the center of your body. 6. On the next exhale, push the spinning Hierophant sphere down through the central body current, while leaving the top end of the pale silver cord attached to the 14th chakra, 36 foot above the head. Move the Hierophant down through the 12th chakra, 6 inch below the feet and stop the Hierophant 6 below the 12th chakra, a position about 12 below the feet. This is the location of the Maharic shield, within the morphogenetic field of the body. Breathe slowly and visualize the Hierophant spinning progressively faster, 12 inch beneath the feet, until the Hierophant takes on a life of its own and suddenly pops and expands to form an expanding horizontal disc of pale silver light, spinning 12 beneath the feet. Feel the disc as a circular platform 3 yards in diameter, below feet. Technique 2 continued, the Maharic seal and the liquid light cleanse. 7. Call to mind the image of the massive horizontal disc of pale silver light, spinning through the Earth's body, the planetary Maharic shield. Imagine the sensation of the large, spinning pale silver platform disc spinning 12 foot beneath your feet, your personal Maharic shield. Breathe slowly and deeply while visualizing a massive rush of pure, cool pale sliver energy running from the planetary Maharic shield, up through the pale sliver cord and into the personal Maharic shield 12 foot beneath your feet. Breathe as this energy runs, filling your Maharic shield to its energy holding capacity. When your Maharic shield has received as much pale silver energy as it can hold, it will take on a life of its own and suddenly pop and expand upward into an oscillating pale sliver pillar of light, surrounding and permeating the body, a tube of light, extending beyond the body about 18 and running from Earth's core to the 14th chakra 36 above the head. Feel the reality of your body, encased in the cool, refreshing pale silver pillar of oscillating light. Take a few slow deep breaths and imagine the energy from the pillar emanating through all of your body cells. Your bioenergetic field is now sealed with a protective barrier of 11th and 12th dimensional frequency, the Maharic seat. 8. As the pale silver pillar of light oscillates around you, place your attention, for a moment, at the 13th chakra in Earth's core and inhale a final spark of pale silver light from Earth's core, drawing the spark up through the pale sliver cord, into the main vertical channel of the kathara grid and into the center of the 4th heart chakra. Breathe slowly and easily while visualizing energy from the silver spark radiating throughout the embodied 12-tree grid, filling it with pale silver light. When the kathara grid has reached its energy holding capacity, the 12th chakra will automatically contract to decrease the flow of silver light from the Earth's core. As the 12th chakra contracts, the planetary Maharic shield stops spinning and transmitting energy through the silver cord, returning the silver cord to its dormant state. The Maharic Seal Pale Silver Pillar of Light will remain in your bioenergetic field between 1 to 3 hours. Over a 3-month period of frequent, consistent daily practice of this process, the Maharic Seal will self-sustain in the bioenergetic field for 12 to 14 hours. Use of this technique allows a healing facilitator to activate the Maharic shield and seal in others through the Maharic infusion process, which is technique 4 while facilitator's pillar remains active. Progressive use of the Maharic seal and running the liquid light creates a reciprocal clearing, reordering and realignment of the Kathara grid holographic template, and all subtle energy and physical systems built upon it. The lower bodies are progressively cleared and realigned with the original perfection of the pre-matter liquid light Mahara Ova body, and the body and genetic code progressively expand to hold higher dimensions of conscious awareness. Technique 2B, the Maharic Quick Seal. 1. Work with a 24-pointed, 3-dimensional star, a Hierophant, and be aware that you will be working with beings known as the Brahmo Rishi. 2. Begin by slowing your breathing, as you imagine or visualize a 24-point, 3-dimensional Hierophant at the pineal gland in the center of your brain. Visualize the Hierophant surrounded by a pale blue sphere of light. The blue sphere serves as a buffer for your readiness to accept the frequencies associated with using the 24-pointed star. The blue sphere holds the energy for you until your body can handle the energy. If you can handle it, the energy will simply pass through the blue sphere. 3. Inhale as if you are going to grab the blue sphere containing the 24-pointed star located at the pineal, and on the exhale move the 24-point star blue sphere all the way down to Earth's core. Try to hear a sound tone as the Hierophant sphere has the planetary shield. 4. Inhale and draw the Hierophant sphere up to your personal Maharic shield, 12 foot below your feet, and exhale while watching the pale silver blue sphere expand out to a large sphere, and watch as your Maharic shield pops out as a disc about 4 feet in diameter, pale silver with a light coating of pale blue. 5. Bring your attention to the center of your Maharic shield, 12 foot below your feel, and inhale the 24-pointed star up into the heart chakra. Exhale, expanding the frequencies of the 24-pointed star into the chakra. 6. Inhale to grab the 24-pointed star and exhale, pushing the star up into the 14th chakra, 36 foot above the head. Imagine that the 24-pointed star is spinning in a clockwise direction in the 14th chakra. As you do this, try to sense the energy around you, just a few inches out from your body. 7. Now, put your attention into your Maharic shield, 12 foot below your feet. Take a couple of relaxing breaths and inhale deeply, pulling the pale silver and blue energy up, as if you are pulling on your Maharic seal to latch it on to your 14th chakra. Try and feel the sensations just a few inches from your body now. Feel the difference if you can. This procedure gives you quick seal. 8. Now envision the cord of Pat. Silver Maharic light that would normally come up with your shield and focus on the Earth's core. Begin drawing energy all the way up the 4-foot diameter cord and into the body. Inhale the energy up into the heart chakra and expand it there. Begin to form a pale silver ball of Maharic frequency. On each exhale, send your energy down to the Earth's core to bring up another load of Maharic frequency, up from the planetary shield. Expand it into the heart center and repeat several times. Notice that the cord grows larger as you do this, expanding from approximately 4 foot to 6 to 8 in diameter, until finally it feels like a skin around, as well as within, your body. As you load your astral field with Maharic frequency. 9. Move your attention to the pale silver ball you have created in your heart center. Inhale and move it up to the 14th chakra, 36 foot above your head. As you do, feel for the sheath of Maharic frequency encasing your etheric body, close to your skin. The Maharic crystal skin charges and saturates your etheric body. Feel the peacefulness and all-knowing nature of this frequency. Technique 2, condensed version, the Maharic Seal and Liquid Light Cleanse. Symbol shorthand is used to help in remembering the primary steps of a technique. 1. Silver Hierophant Star at Chakra 6-2. Exhale Hierophant Star from Chakra 6 to Earth's core, spin Hierophant Star at Earth's core, until it pops into Hierophant Silver Sphere at Earth's core. 3. Hierophant Sphere spins at Earth's core until silver disk of Earth's shield emerges. 4. Inhale, Hierophant Sphere up from Earth's core to Chakra 12, trailing sliver cord from Earth's core. 5. Inhale, Hierophant Sphere up from Chakra 12 to Chakra 14, trailing silver cord. 6. Exhale, Hierophant Sphere down from Chakra 14 to Personal Maharic Shield and spin Hierophant Sphere, whichever way it wants to spin, until Personal Shield pops out to become Sliver Disc Plane 12-inch beneath feet. 7. Draw Sliver Energy into Personal Shield from Earth's Shield through Sliver Cord until Personal Shield is filled and pops to become Vertical Pillar of Silver Light around body. 8. Inhale, draw Spark of Silver Light from 13th Chakra at Earth's core, into main vertical channel of Kathara grid then to Chakra 4. From Chakra 4 transmit energy from Spark to fill 12-tree Kathara grid. Chakra 12 auto shut down when 12-tree grid is full. The Planetary Bio-Feed Interface System and the Maharic Seal. Use of the Maharic Seal and Liquid Light Cleanse begins the process of activating the 8th through 12th chakras and opening the natural planetary bio-feed interface system within the human body. Through it, the finite quantity of scalar frequency of which the personal Maharic Shield, UVA bodies and individual identity are composed expands to infinite potential, as the planetary scalar shields can be used to open dormant crystal seals within the scalar shields of the personal level 2 Kathara grid. Once activated through the 12th chakra, the planetary bio-feed interface system opens a conduit of perpetual energetic supply between the human body and the planetary morphogenetic field, allowing the body to continually draw in as much higher dimensional frequency as the DNA template can hold. With the planetary bio-feed interface system activated, the human body can also become a tool for reprogramming and rebalancing the planetary shields, vortices, ley lines and energetic grids of the planetary Templar complex. When the crystal seals of the personal shields are released, the human DNA template can serve as a bioelectric conduit for running higher dimensional frequency into the planetary shield. The human body, with its 12-strand DNA template potential, is the only mechanism on Earth, other than the planetary shields themselves, that is capable of running a full 12th-dimensional Maharic current. Just as the Maharic current can be used to purge distortions within the human manifestation template, so can it be used to purge distortions within the planetary shields, to restore the planetary Templar complex to its original order. Kathara healing technologies not only provide the opportunity for individuals to facilitate healing in other biological forms, they also reawaken the human potential to facilitate healing within the geophysical planetary body. The Maharic Seal and Client Sessions. Through understanding the context of healing, the structure of the unified field, the elements of healing, the anatomy of the human body, Kathara grid and Kathara healing beginning applications, morphogenetic repatterning through the Maharic Seal and Liquid Light Cleanse and awakening the mentor for access to fifth-dimensional awareness. The Kathara healing facilitator has developed the rudimentary skills necessary to begin per-soul core holographic template healing. To effectively facilitate core template healing in others, it is important for Kathara facilitators themselves to employ personal template healing. The ability to hold the 12th dimensional Maharic frequency subharmonics, the 12th sub-frequency band within each of the full dimensional frequency bands, in body to assist in its transmission to a client for healing support increases as the facilitator utilizes the Maharic Seal and Liquid Light Cleanse technique for personal healing. The Maharic Seal and Liquid Light Cleanse technique not only increases the facilitator's ability to transmit 12th dimensional frequency subharmonics, It also temporarily realigns distortions within the facilitator's bioenergetic field and kathara grid and creates a temporary 12th dimensional scalar frequency seal within the facilitator's bioenergetic field. Without use of the Maharic seal, the facilitator will inadvertently transmit bioenergetic field and kathara grid distortions to the client and will energetically pick up scalar distortions, including part of the karmic miasmic imprint, from the client. This problem occurs in all subtle energy healing modalities that do not employ the Maharic seal. Both of these conditions serve to amplify, rather than remedy, disease and disharmony within the mind-body-spirit system, for both facilitator and client. For these reasons, the Maharic seal and liquid light cleanse technique needs to be employed prior to any healing facilitation work, to protect the bioenergetic field integrity of facilitator and client. The Maharic seal and liquid light cleanse technique represents the facilitator's preliminary preparation prior to kathara healing facilitation client sessions. Co-generative healing. The final phase of education necessary before engaging the adventure of kathara healing client facilitation is rediscovering the structure of personal multidimensional identity and how to use the personal uva bodies to tap the higher dimensional scalar frequencies for enhanced healing facilitation ability. The ability to understand and utilize the precise healing currents of the interdimensional spectrum adds greater power and skill to the healing facilitation process. Unlike many other energy healing systems, Level 1 Kathara healing trains the facilitator to identify, awaken within the body and employ in client service-specific combinations of interdimensional healing current that fine-tune and amplify the beneficial effects of subtle energy healing. This chapter will conclude with an overview of the 4 primary triadic healing currents, 4 of the 5 three-dimensional primal energy currents that can be awakened within the body through activation of the Maharic shield. The natural primal triadic healing currents, which exist naturally as part of the personal ova body, scalar shield and kathara grid anatomy, create powerful, effective and user-friendly energetic healing tools when combined with the 12-dimensional frequencies of the Maharic shield. Running the triadic currents is achieved by using the current to first activate the frequencies of the corresponding ova body and station of awareness within the personal scalar shields and DNA template. Once activated in the DNA template, the ova body is used to draw a perpetual supply of the desired current from the dimensional unified field corresponding to the chosen current. Running the triadic currents requires activation of the corresponding frequencies within the facilitator's DNA template, thus using the triadic currents in client facilitation also serves to progressively stimulate and expedite activation of dormant frequencies in the facilitator's DNA template. Using the triadic currents in client facilitation serves to accelerate the processes of holographic reseeding, higher identity uva body integration and multidimensional evolution within the body-mind-spirit system of the facilitator, as well as that of the client, creating a condition of co-generative healing between client and facilitator. Foundations of holistic healing, healing evolution and ascension. In the Kathara healing paradigm, the art and science of healing the body-mind-spirit system is viewed in terms of the human relationship to the natural structure and dynamics of creation. Healing becomes a necessity when the intrinsic energetic systems and scalar wave constructions of consciousness, upon which the biological manifestation is built, become incongruent with the natural primal order of the dimensionalized time matrix system. The processes of natural healing and hidden, organic functions of human evolution are intimately intertwined. Conditions that facilitate natural healing also facilitate fulfillment of the naturally intended course of human evolution, while conditions detrimental to body-mind-spirit health are likewise detrimental to the evolutionary objectives of both the individual and the species. The processes by which lasting healing occurs, through regenesis of primal order within the scalar shields and personal anatomy, are the same processes by which the consciousness evolves to the fulfillment of spiritual actualization, through embodiment of the 12 dimensions of consciousness inherent to the human DNA template design. The genetic code of the biological imprint is built upon the scalar wave templates of consciousness that serve to hold the identity as energetic substance into physical embodiment. Distortions within the physical manifestation indicate distortions in the manifestation template and thus constitute distortions in consciousness. Genuine healing is a function of consciousness, first and foremost, and it is through realignment of consciousness itself that full healing can occur. In the Kathara program, it is understood that biology and consciousness are intimately intertwined and thus interdependent. The techniques of bioregenesis provided in Kathara healing assist in the processes of restoring the organic imprint for health while simultaneously serving to expedite the natural processes of interdimensional evolution through DNA template, Kundalini, crystal seals, and Merkaba activation. Human evolution is not a random, goal-less occurrence. It is rather an ordered system of interdimensional physics dynamics by which human consciousness progressively masters the contours of creation in time. The evolutionary objective of human creation is mastery, which is progressively attained through the dynamics of transmutational dimensional ascension. Ascension is therefore the intrinsic and indelible goal within human evolution, the hidden impetus for action that moves the human species forward in time. Healing and bio-spiritual evolution. When we begin running the higher dimensional frequencies of the four primary triadic currents for Kathara healing applications, we are, in truth, running frequencies of consciousness that emanate from the Uva bodies, in which the expanded spiritual portions of our personal identity are stationed. As we reawaken the higher dimensional frequencies of consciousness within the DNA template, we are progressively expediting the reintegration of personal multidimensional identity, serving the spiritual goal of ascension through stimulating into activation the scientific dynamics of unified field physics by which genuine ascension occurs. Kathara healing progressively restores the functions of universal physics dynamics within the human body, as they apply to the pathway of ascension, and so Kathara healing applications are considered to be processes of accelerated bio-spiritual evolution, as well as processes of holistic body-mind-spirit healing. Both facilitator and client simultaneously receive the subtle but progressive benefits of evolutionary acceleration and spiritual development through Kathara healing bioregenesis technologies, through which the expansion of personal consciousness into the higher dimensional aspects of spiritual awareness occurs. Kathara practices serve to stimulate progressive integration and embodiment of the multidimensional identity by activation of dormant portions of the DNA template, through which the scalar wave patterns of the higher frequencies of identity can enter the physical form. As spiritual advancement through Uva body integration and DNA template activation is a beneficial side effect of Kathara healing practice, it is helpful for the Kathara facilitator to understand the order of multidimensional identity structure. It is also helpful to realize that the unified field of energy, utilized in Kathara healing, is in fact a unified field of consciousness. Healing is a function of energy dynamics and, at its core, energy is the substance consciousness adopts to experience manifestation, thus healing is a function of consciousness. When personal consciousness is applied in ways that are congruent with the natural laws of unified field physics, the effects of healing and well-being are met in manifestation. Consciousness and the physical illusion. In Chapter 1 we explored the structure of the unified field and discovered the morphogenetic framework, or holographic template, upon which matter systems are constructed. We learned how the structure of dimensionalization applies to the anatomy of the 15-dimensional human body, from the core template Kathara grid, the Ova bodies and shields, to the chakras, bioenergetic field, and physical matter structures built upon them. We also discovered that physical manifestation is not what it appears to be, that nothing is really manifest at all, but only appears to be so due to the relationships of compartmentalized consciousness interacting with each other through the framework of dimensionalization. Our physical parts in our manifest world are scalar wave constructions, appearing solid and externalized because we view them with a level of consciousness that is stationed one full dimension above the waveforms we perceive as solid and objectified. Our consciousness structures itself into the scalar wave forms of dimensionality in order for us to perceive the illusion of manifestation. There is no difference, other than the dimensional frequencies from which one is perceiving, between the substance that composes physical matter and that which composes our seemingly non-manifest portions of consciousness. The core of reality is consciousness. It is the energetic substance out of which all things are made. Uva bodies, platforms of perception. In this section we will learn how the attributes of mind and sentient identity fit into the multidimensional anatomy of human consciousness. The scalar grids of the uva bodies and shields that hold portions of our consciousness separate from each other so we may experience objectification, can be understood as platforms of perception. A portion of our conscious identity is stationed within each of the uva body shields, and the dimensions contained within the shield become the platform from which that portion of ourselves will perceive matter objectification. We are simultaneously focused within each uva body platform of perception, and this gives us separated but interrelated stations of identity and different levels of mind, from which we simultaneously perceive. The amount of perception we are able to incorporate into our embodied focus on Earth is determined by the level of higher identity integration that has occurred. Integration of higher identity is the merger of the uva bodies, which creates changes and advancements in the biological gene code that allow the neurological and metabolic functions of the body to expand. Our present platform of perception. Presently, we are accustomed to perceiving from the platform of perception provided by the nada uva body, the scalar grid that houses the 1th, 2th, and third-dimensional aspects of our identity and anatomy. While perceiving from the nada uva body and the telluric shield that holds its form, we are functioning as a three-dimensional consciousness and will not be aware of the perceptions of the other levels of ourselves that are perceiving from the platforms of perception from the other uva bodies. As we expand and evolve, we will progressively incorporate the portions of our awareness stationed in the other uva bodies into our earthly focus of attention. The higher identity structure of the uva bodies and related levels of mind within dimensionalization are as follows. Incarnate identity. Nada uva body, telluric shield, dimensions 1 and 2 and 3, the subconscious, D1, instinctual, D2, and reasoning, D3, levels of mind. Soul identity, alpha uva body, doratic shield, dimensions 4, 5 and 6, the astral, D4, archetype or dora, D5, and the angelic, D6, levels of mind. Oversoul identity, Betya uva body, Turic shield, dimensions 7, 8 and 9, the catharic, D7, monadic or Tura, D8, and the karyatic, D9, levels of mind. Avatar identity, Mahara uva body, Maharic shield, dimensions 10, 11 and 12, the Christiac, D10, Buddhaic, D11, and the Nirvanic, D12, levels of mind. Rishi identity, Raja uva body, Maharic shield, dimensions 13, 14 and 15, universal consciousness mind. There are 3 additional platforms of perception and 3 additional uva bodies beyond the structure of dimensions, uva bodies that represent 3 levels of ascended mastery identity. Uva bodies and the 4 primary triadic currents. Each of the uva bodies and shields contains a portion of your energy identity that exists in the form of electrotonal impulse born of partiki phasing. The energy of your higher stations of identity, and that of the universal unified fields of consciousness energy can be drawn into the nada uva body and earthly incarnate identity, for the purpose of healing facilitation. There are 4 primary triadic healing currents, each corresponding to one of the 4 higher dimensional uva bodies. Through your corresponding uva body station, you can draw energy from the higher dimensional unified fields and channel it into your nada uva body for direction into healing within the first harmonic. The 4 primary healing currents are harmonic currents of energy, each composed of 3 dimensions of frequency. Each dimensional band, within a harmonic or triadic current, is referred to as a phase of that current. In kathara healing, we develop the ability to activate each progressive phase of each triadic current through grounding the current into the body via the activated Meharich shield. Triadic currents and color. Each phase of triadic current corresponds to a wavelength in the dimensional spectrum that appears as color to the embodied human mind. In directing the triadic currents, we therefore use the color translation of that primary dimension wave spectrum to differentiate between phases of current for various applications. The first current to be activated in kathara healing is the diuradic current, the frequencies drawn in from harmonic 2 through the diuradic shield and alpha uva body. The diuradic current has 3 phases: Phase 1, fourth dimensional current, green wave. Phase 2, fifth dimensional current, blue wave, and Phase 3, sixth dimensional current, blue-violet wave. In Level 1 Kathara healing we learn to activate and run the Phase 1 green diuradic current. The 4 primary triadic currents and uva body correspondences. Telluric current, nada uva body, telluric shield, dimensions 1, 2 and 3 Phase 1 red, Phase 2 orange gold, Phase 3 yellow. Diuradic current, alpha uva body, diuradic shield, dimensions 4, 5 and 6, Phase 1 green, Phase 2 blue, Phase 3 blue-violet. Turic current, betya uva body, turic shield, dimensions 7, 8 and 9 Phase 1 violet, Phase 2 gold, Phase 3 midlone silver. Meharich current, mahara uva body, Meharich shield, dimensions 10, 11 and 12, Phase 1 blue-black, Phase 2 silver-black, Phase 3 white. Transmutation current. Rishik current, Raja uva body, Rishik shield, dimensions 13, 14 and 15 Phase 1 turquoise, Phase 2 pale yellow, Phase 3 magenta. Current combining. When using triadic phase currents, each phase current is combined with the current running the activated Meharich shield, in combination with the phase current from the harmonic above the phase current you are using. The diuradic Phase 1 current is therefore composed of D11 D12 pale silver, Meharich shield, D4 green, diuradic shield Phase 1, and D7 violet, the Phase 1 current of harmonic 3 turic shield, 1 harmonic up from diuradic Phase 1. In activating the diuradic Phase 1 current, you are using silver-green-violet color to direct dimensions 12, 11, 7 for current. Chapter 3 highlights Kathara beginning application. The uva bodies of personal anatomy contain portions of our higher dimensional awareness. One can begin accessing this awareness by building a perceptual bridge between the 3-dimensional self and higher identity aspects. Taking conscious initiative in building a perceptual bridge expedites DNA template activation and the organic evolutionary process. The mentor technique assists in building the perceptual bridge and activates dormant Kathara lines in our Level 1 Kathara grid to open communication between our D3 and Density 2, D4, and D5 levels of awareness. The mentor is a part of our awareness that is composed of 3rd, 4th, and 5th dimensional frequencies of consciousness, which exists as a quantity of scalar wave patterns that span densities 1 and 2. The mentor focus will be used in Kathara healing for guidance, information retrieval, and objective observation. It can also be used to access cellular memory and an inner child by location, remote viewing, and dream work. Through a process called morphogenetic repatterning, Kathara healing affects the core of disease and disharmony in the body-mind-spirit system by repatterning the scalar wave programs in the personal holographic template to their original primal order. In Level 1 Kathara healing we learn the Meharich recoding process, the most important level of holographic template realignment. The Meharich shield is the 3-dimensional scalar grid corresponding to the 10th, 11th, and 12th dimensional frequencies of density 4. It represents the original point of manifestation and holds our original liquid light hydroplasmic pre-matter creation imprint, which is the organic imprint for health. In Kathara healing, the Meharich shield organic imprint for health is used to progressively repattern the embodied Kathara grid and body systems to their original primal order. The 12th dimensional frequencies of the Meharich shield contain within them the 144 subfrequency band scalar patterns of all of the dimensions below. 12th dimensional Maharic frequency can be used to effectively correct distortions in the lower dimensional levels of the manifestation template, scalar shields and kathara grid. Activation of the Maharic shield serves as the reset button for the embodied kathara grid and for 12 dimensions of body-mind-spirit anatomy. In bioenergetic healing, Level 1 kathara grid distortions override realignments made to the outer levels of the biofields alone. For lasting healing to occur, Level 1 kathara grid distortions must be realigned. The Maharic shield, with its 144 frequency subharmonics, is the only portion of the morphogenetic anatomy that can fully repattern and realign the Level 1 kathara 12-tree grid. In kathara healing, the Maharic shield is used to realign the Level 1 12-tree grid. The Maharic shield and liquid light cleanse technique is used to restore distorted partiki phasing sequences and scalar wave arrangements within the 3 levels of the kathara grid and scalar shields. Realignment will be temporary until the kathara grid reaches critical mass of energy in the new, realigned pattern. Until critical mass is reached, the outer levels of the anatomy will continue to reverse the kathara grid healing. With practice and consistent application of the Maharic seal and liquid light cleanse technique, the realignment of the kathara grid will become permanent. In future applications of kathara healing, processes will be used to realign the outer levels of the biofield and the kathara grid simultaneously, to expedite the healing process. The focus of Level 1 kathara healing is morphogenetic repatterning and holographic template recoding via the Maharic shield to clear distortions and the karmic miasmic imprint from the personal scalar shields, kathara grid and DNA template, utilizing the accelerated energies of the planetary biofeed interface system. Kathara points are mini energy vortex points in the body that connect directly to diotic point vortices in the Level 3 kathara diotic point grid. Stimulation of the kathara points through manual massage affects the movement of energy within related areas of the kathara grid and body systems. Used in Sequence 1 kathara points for regeneration open energetic gateways to the kathara lines of the kathara Level 1 12-tree grid, to allow new, realigned scalar patterns from the Maharic shield to run through the kathara lines and kathara grid for core template repatterning. Sequence 1 kathara points create more lasting but less immediate effects of realignment and healing. They can be used alone for deep healing and rebalancing of the core kathara grid. Sequence 2 kathara points for revitalization close kathara lines in the 12-tree grid and channel energy into the nadial lines of the outer bioenergetic field for more rapid revitalization and rebalancing of the outer auric levels, chakras and physical cells. Sequence 2 kathara points create more immediate but less lasting effects of realignment and healing. They can be used alone to create temporary revitalization of the outer levels of the biosystem. Used together, Sequence 1 kathara points can run Maharic energy through the core kathara grid for template recoding. Sequence 2 kathara points can then be used to direct the Maharic energy into the outer levels of the biofield and physical body, to expedite healing through simultaneous inner and outer biofield realignment. In kathara healing, Sequence 1 kathara points are used to open the kathara lines prior to running the Maharic seal and liquid light cleanse, and Sequence 2 kathara points can be used following the procedure to revitalize the outer biofield and body systems. Use of the Maharic seal and liquid light cleanse technique begins activation of dormant chakras 8-12 and the planetary biofeed interface system, or planetary biofeed interface system. Opening the planetary biofeed interface system allows energy from the planetary shields to be drawn into the human body for rapid activation of the personal Maharic shield and crystal seals, to expedite the processes of DNA template activation, healing, recoding of the holographic template and interdimensional evolution. Opening of the planetary biofeed interface system can also allow the human DNA template to serve as a bioelectric conduit, through which the planetary scalar shields and electromagnetic grids can be realigned with their primal order for geophysical planetary healing. Through the planetary biofeed interface system, humans can directly facilitate healing of the planetary Templar complex from the manifestation template level, as well as facilitate healing in other biological organisms. Each use of the Maharic seal and liquid light cleanse technique assists in planetary healing, as the process progressively stimulates the planetary Maharic shield into activation, to realign planetary shield distortions. The Maharic seal and liquid light cleanse technique is used as preliminary preparation for all kathara healing applications. It creates a temporary 12th dimensional scalar frequency seal in the facilitator's biofield to protect both facilitator and client from taking on each other's biofield distortions. In healing applications, the Maharic seal is needed to run interdimensional healing currents to their most effective 12th subharmonic level. The processes by which healing occurs through regenesis of primal order are the same processes through which true spiritual actualization takes place. Biology and consciousness are intimately intertwined through the natural laws of universal unified field physics, the energetic dynamics through which consciousness enters manifestation. The hidden impetus for action behind human evolution is the core species objective of mastery of co-creation within the space-time system. This evolutionary objective is obtained through achievement of the evolutionary goal of transmutational dimensional ascension. Kathara healing applications generate healing through restoring the original imprint for health. Restoration of the original imprint for health simultaneously expedites the natural processes of evolution through activation of the 12-strand DNA template, Kundalini energies and Merkaba vehicle and integration of the Uva bodies, scalar shields and higher dimensional aspects of personal spiritual identity. Kathara healing facilitates healing while simultaneously facilitating spiritual actualization and expediting the goal of transmutational dimensional ascension. Healing is a function of consciousness. There is no difference between the substance that composes physical matter and the substance that composes consciousness, other than the dimensional frequency from which one is perceiving. When personal consciousness energy is applied in congruence with the natural laws of universal unified field physics, healing, well-being and spiritual actualization result. Human anatomy is a 15-dimensional scalar wave construct. Part of our identity exists simultaneously within the time cycles of the higher dimensional harmonic universes. We are indelibly linked to our higher identity levels through our embodied kathara grid, scalar shields and DNA template. As we evolve biologically to activation of dormant portions of our DNA template and scalar shields, the conscious awareness of our higher identity levels progressively embodies. The three-dimensional Uva body electromagnetic domains, and scalar shields that form them, represent platforms of perception through which our higher identity levels perceive. Merger of the Uva bodies, via activation of the DNA template and scalar shields, creates reintegration of the multidimensional identity structure. The 5 levels of multidimensional identity structure are incarnate, in density 1, soul in density 2, oversoul in density 3, avatar in density 4 and rishi in density 5. There are also 3 ascended master identity levels, Uva bodies and shields existing beyond the dimensionalized time matrix. In Kathara healing, we use various levels of higher dimensional identity to draw in healing current from the higher dimensional unified fields, by activating the portions of the personal scalar shields, Kathara grid and DNA template that correspond to the higher dimensional Uva bodies. There are 4 primary triadic, 3-dimensional, energy currents that can be used in healing facilitation. The telluric current in density 1, the duratic current in density 2, the turic current in density 3 and the Maharic current in density 4. The rishic current of density 5 can be run only by beings with full 12-strand DNA activation. Each of the 4 primary triadic healing currents corresponds to one of the first 4 Uva bodies of human anatomy. In Kathara healing, the 4 primary triadic currents are harmonically interwoven to create 4 powerful combined healing currents. Each of the 4 triadic healing currents has 3 phases, or 3-phase currents, each representing one of the 3-dimensional frequency bands within the triadic current. Each of the 12-phase currents is run in combination with the 11-12 IH dimensional Maharic current, and the phase current from the harmonic directly above, to form a powerful triadic healing current. In kathara healing, specific healing currents are directed by using the color of their dominant wavelength. Level 1 kathara healing teaches us to activate our diuretic phase 1 current, the pale silver, D11 to 12, plus green, D4, plus violet, D7, for healing facilitation and personal DNA template and shield activation. The diuretic phase 1 current can realign the 1st to 4th dimensional aspects of the scalar shields, the 1st to 4th chakras, axiotonal lines and DNA strand templates, the physical, emotional and mental bodies of the Nada Uva body and the D4 astral body of the Alpha Uva body. Diuretic phase 1 current can also be used to realign the 1st to 4th subharmonics of all shields, DNA strand templates, axiotonal lines, chakras and uva bodies, and to clear the karmic miasmic imprint from the density 1 incarnational time cycles and the first part of the density 2 incarnational time cycles. Chapter 4, General Kathara Healing Fieldwork, Skills to Facilitate Healing. Opening the healing channels, diuretic phase 1 current, the diuretic sphere, diuretic cords and diuretic balls. The karmic miasmic imprint, incarnational time vectors, vector embedding. Multi-vector holographic recoding through the Maharic infusion. Attitudes and etiquette in healing, the motivation to heal, postures of love, the framework for healing and fully engaging the love vibration. The 6-step Maharic recoding session, Melchizedek cloister ordination and becoming a professional spiritual healing facilitator instructor. Opening the healing channels, diuretic phase 1 current. Activation of any triadic healing current requires temporary release of the corresponding signet star crystal seals within the personal scalar shield and a temporary activation of the portions of the dormant 12-strand DNA template that correspond to the signet seals. Signet seals modulate the flow of frequency between the 3-dimensional harmonic density levels. When signet seals are in their usual, for this time period, dormant phase, they keep the 5 uva bodies of the personal 15-dimensional anatomy separate from each other by creating an electromagnetic barrier or magnetic repulsion zone between each 3-0-dimensional level of the energetic anatomy. This magnetic repulsion zone between embodied harmonics of manifestation manifests as polarity resistance to frequency inflow within the 3 levels of the kathara grid, the scalar shields, axiotonal lines, chakras and auric field levels of the embodied inner templar complex. In order to run higher dimensional frequency currents through the physical body for healing applications, it is necessary to temporarily release portions of the magnetic repulsion zones between the uva bodies. Releasing the electromagnetic resistance to higher dimensional frequency inflow within the inner templar complex is achieved through temporary activation of the signet seals within the kathara level 2 crystal seal grid of the personal scalar shields. Most contemporary energetic healing systems rely upon using the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd dimensional frequencies of the telluric phase currents in the Nada Uva body. Through the Nada Uva body alone, only the 3-dimensional subharmonics of higher dimensional frequency currents can be run, as the dormant signet seals block the falser moving partiki phasing flashline sequences of higher dimensional frequency bands from running through the DNA template. If a frequency band is blocked from running through the DNA template, that frequency cannot be energetically transmitted through the Nada Uva body and physical bioelectrical systems. In conventional energy healing methods, even those emerging from ancient systems of subtle energy healing, the signet seals, and thus the scalar shields, uva bodies and DNA template, remain dormant in their usually closed position, phase locked into a 3-dimensional orientation. While the DNA template remains phase locked into the 3-dimensional orientation of the Nada Uva body, only the 1st through 12th sub-frequency bands, subharmonics, of 1st through 3rd dimensional current, telluric current, and the 1st through 3rd sub-frequency bands of 4th through 12th dimensional current can be run through the human body for transmission. Use of the lower frequency, slower partiki phasing rhythm, telluric currents can affect temporary beneficial change in the outer layers of the bioenergetic field, but telluric currents alone cannot facilitate full repatterning of the three levels of the kathara grid where scalar shield distortions that cause genetic malfunction are embedded. The 11th to 12th dimensional frequencies of the pre-matter hydroplasmic Maharic currents are the only dimensional frequencies powerful enough to affect change in the embodied kathara grid. To run Maharic current and the high-frequency interdimensional triadic phase currents through the human body requires release of the signet seals with the personal scalar shields. Triadic phase currents, the Maharic shield and the planetary bio-feed interface system. Most heating systems have not incorporated the Maharic current into their frequency application procedures because the planetary Templar complex has not been able to run AD-12 Maharic current through the planetary grids for 210,216 years. Like the human DNA template, if the planetary shields and manifestation template are blocked from processing interdimensional frequency, that frequency will be unavailable for use on the planet. If the signet star crystal seals, stargates, in the planetary shields are dormant, closed and phase locked into density 1 orientation, no one on the planet will be able to draw interdimensional frequency into their personal shields because the frequency is unavailable within the planetary shield. The personal and planetary Templar complexes are intimately interwoven, and what affects one will inevitably affect the other. In order to run the full spectrum of interdimensional triadic phase currents through the human body, it is necessary to open the signet seals in the personal inner Templar and the signet stargates in the planetary Templar complex. In conventional human evolution, the internal signet seals, which serve as the genetic time codes or fire codes of the human DNA template, automatically, progressively and sequentially open over very long cycles of time. During the slow activation of the genetic time codes, the conscious identity experiences passage through numerous incarnate life cycles within the planetary time cycle, evolving through a series of single-vector incarnations before being released from the three-dimensional phase lock of density 1 manifestation. One can manually open the signet seals in the embodied inner Templar complex to expedite evolution into the multidimensional, multi-vector time cycles through use of the 11th to 12th dimensional Maharic current. Activation of the personal Maharic shield allows for rapid release of the embodied signet seal. And activation of the fire codes in the DNA template. The Maharic current from the personal Maharic shield can be used to release the signet star crystal seals within the body, which in turn activates the dormant Kundalini energies at the base of the spine and the cranial sacral Kundalini seals within the tailbone and pineal gland. Release of the cranial sacral seals of the internal Templar complex allows the magnetic repulsion zones between the ova bodies to release so the DNA template, personal scalar shields and physical body systems can receive inflow of higher dimensional frequency. To gain conscious mastery over the process of releasing the internal signet seals requires activation of the personal Maharic shield, and the personal Maharic shield can be manually activated only through drawing Maharic current into the personal shields via the planetary Maharic shield. The entire process of releasing the internal signet seals by activating the personal Maharic shield, in order to enable the DNA template to run triadic phase currents for healing, is entirely dependent upon the operational function of the planetary bio-feed interface system. If the planetary Templar complex is blocked, or the signet stargates are dormant, and Maharic current from the planetary Maharic shield is not able to run through the planetary grids, humans on Earth do not have the option of manually activating the personal Maharic shield, because the planetary bio-feed interface system is not operational. The planetary bio-feed interface system becomes operationally functional within the human body through activation of the 12th chakra. The 12th chakra cannot activate in the personal Templar complex if the planetary Templar complex cannot run 12th dimensional Maharic frequency. For over 200,000 years, the planetary Templar complex could not run Maharic frequency, and thus manual activation of the personal Maharic shield and release of the embodied signet seals to open the ova bodies for running interdimensional triadic phase currents for healing were not available options for Earth humanity. Since the recent activation of the planetary Templar complex, Maharic Shield and planetary Bio-Feed interface system activation and Kathara healing applications are now available on Earth. Opening triadic phase currents in the human body. The method by which triadic phase currents are activated within the human body is a progressive process. First, opening of the personal Kathara grid, telluric shield and nada ova body is orchestrated through activation of the Maharic Shield and Signet seals, to allow inflow of frequency from the higher dimensional uva bodies. Next, the incoming frequency is harnessed and collected within the chakra system. Finally, the collected frequency is then transmitted for healing facilitation in others, either through direct chakra transmission or by close-range frequency induction, via transmission of frequency from the activated secondary chakra centers within the palms. The ability to run the higher dimensional triadic phase currents within the body must be built up within the internal Templar complex, starting with the slowest moving current of the higher dimensional spectrum, the Doradic phase 1 current. The Doradic phase 1 current utilizes the subfrequencies of the 11th to 12th dimensional Maharic current from the density for Mahara Ova body as a carrier wave that will carry the desired interdimensional currents through the signet seals of the personal scalar shields. The full spectrum of the 4-foot H-dimensional Doradic phase 1 current from the density 2 Alpha Uva body is activated as the primary healing frequency for transmission. The full spectrum of the 7th dimensional Turic phase 1 current, 1 harmonic above the Doradic phase 1 current, from the density 3 Betchia Uva body is used to release the 4-11 dimensional signet seal, allowing the 4th dimensional Doradic phase 1 current to enter the Nada Ova body. Activating the 4th signet seal triggers temporary activation of the 4th DNA strand template and corresponding 4th Kathara center in the level 112 tree grid, which allows the 4th dimensional frequencies of the Doradic phase 1 current to pass through the active DNA and into the bioenergetic and bioelectrical systems of the body for transmission. Once the DNA template becomes accustomed to holding a 4th DNA strand template activation, after several months of practice in running the 4th dimensional Doradic phase F current, the body will be able to begin receiving the primarily 5th dimensional Doradic phase 2 current. The lower dimensional triadic currents must be activated within the DNA template before the higher dimensional triadic currents can run. In level 1 Kathara healing, the first step in activating the full spectrum, 12 subharmonics, of the 4th dimensional Doradic phase 1 current is achieved. Triadic phase currents and color capstones. The color capstone of a dimensional frequency band is the visual representation of the primary wavelength formed by the specific Partiki phasing rhythm for that dimension. A specific dimensional frequency band can be chosen and directed by the color translation of its primary wavelength. The color capstones of the dimensional frequency bands are used in Kathara healing to direct specifically selected dimensional frequency bands, Partiki phasing rhythms, for specific applications. The color capstones for the Doradic phase 1 current are pale silver, D11 to D12 Maharic, plus green, D4 Doradic, plus violet, D7 Turic. The Doradic sphere and current collection. The Doradic sphere is a frequency repository that is formed to hold the activated Doradic phase 1 current within the chakra system for transmission in healing facilitation. As the Doradic phase 1 current is primarily a 4th dimensional current, the Doradic 1 sphere will be formed in the 4th chakra, which corresponds to the 4LH dimensional astral body of the Alpha Uva body and auric field. Transmission of the Doradic phase 1 current will take place from the Doradic sphere at the 4th chakra, creating a 4th dimensional astral infusion of frequency into the bioenergetic field of the client in close-range healing, and a general astral plane infusion of Doradic phase 1 frequency into manifestation templates of areas, and everything contained within the space, when transmitted directly from the 4th chakra. Doradic cords and current induction. The Doradic cords are energy conduits that are formed by opening the embodied axiotonal lines within the arms, hands, and fingers. Opening the Doradic cords allows the secondary chakras within the palms of The hands to carry the diuretic phase 1 current for application in close-range transmission. Although triadic phase currents can be transmitted directly from the chakra center in which the collection sphere is placed, the energies are more diffuse and diluted in this form of transmission, unless the personal DNA template holds a full, permanent activation of the strand template corresponding to the triadic current being transmitted. It takes time, often years, for the DNA template to acquire and permanently hold a higher strand activation level. One-on-one healing facilitation is more effective when conducted through concentrating the triadic current through the axiotonal lines for direct induction of current through the palm chakras in close-range transmission. Close-range transmission also allows for more precise application of frequency to specific areas of the body systems. In Level 1 Kathara healing, the diuretic cords are activated within the arms, palms and fingers to allow for concentrated, focused direction and direct induction of the diuretic phase 1 current. For general healing purposes, such as clearing rooms or geographical spaces, or when attempting to transmit healing current into groups of people, transmission of the diuretic phase 1 current can be orchestrated directly from the 4th chakra for nonspecific induction. In nonspecific induction, following activation of the diuretic phase 1 current, each inhale breath is used to fill the diuretic sphere with more energy and each exhale breathe is used to expand and transmit the energy into the room or biofields of a group of people. It is not necessary to activate the diuretic cords for nonspecific induction applications. In Level 1 Kathara healing applications, use of the diuretic cords and palm chakras is employed for direct induction close-range transmission in client sessions. To enhance and expedite personal healing, the activated diuretic phase 1 current can be run through the personal Level 1 Kathara grid with the Maharic shield and liquid light cleanse technique and then through each of the 7 primary embodied chakras. Diuretic balls and palm transmission direct induction. The diuretic balls are small energy repositories that form in the palms of the hands when the diuretic cords have been activated to run diuretic phase 1 current through the palm chakras. Diuretic balls are used to accumulate current in the palm chakra vortices prior to transmission, to strengthen the intensity of the current. Primary polarities of palm chakras. Along with the 15 primary chakras within human anatomy, there are many other smatter secondary and tertiary chakra centers throughout the body, which correspond to the energetic interrelationships of scalar wave patterns within the Kathara Level 3 dyadic points grid. All chakras operate as sets of black and white holes, through which energy from the dimensional unified fields circulates into and out of the body and manifestation template. The palm chakras are part of the secondary chakra system. Like all chakras, the palm chakras are structured as 2 vortices of energy joined at the tip by a minute crystal seal within the Kathara Level 2 crystal seals grid. The palm chakras run through the center of the palms and out of the back of the hands. In any set of chakra vortex spirals, one vortex represents the magnetic black hole, a counterclockwise rotating spiral that draws energy in toward the central crystal seal, and the companion vortex represents the corresponding electrical white hole, the clockwise rotating spiral that sends energy out from the central crystal seal. The black hole vortex represents the receiving spiral or magnetic pole, and the white hole vortex represents the transmitting spiral or electrical pole. The electrical pole of a chakra represents the expansion current of the chakra, through which it expands energy out from the personal shields. It is referred to as base electrical. The magnetic pole of a chakra represents the contraction current of the chakra, through which it contracts energy in from the external unified field to the personal shields. It is referred to as base magnetic. The chakras in the palms are composed of many smaller minute vortex sets, each with magnetic and electrical poles, but the primary pole of each palm chakra is that pertaining to the larger black-white hole set and crystal seal. Although each palm chakra is capable of both transmitting and receiving energy current, the strongest and most focused currents can be achieved by utilizing the natural polarity orientation of the primary vortex set. The chakra in the right palm is base electrical. Its corresponding vortex on the back of the right hand is base magnetic. The chakra in the left palm is base magnetic. Its corresponding vortex on the back of the left hand is base electrical. When running triadic phase currents, it is helpful to understand the primary polarities of the palm chakras in order to create the strongest and least distorted healing current. In kathara healing, the right hand is the transmitting hand, through which triadic current is exhaled down the cords in the arms and expanded into the right palm chakra for transmission. The left hand is the receiving hand, through which the triadic current transmitted from the right hand is drawn back into the facilitator's body to create a closed circuit of current for the strongest current intensity and purest frequency content. Standard hand position for transmitting triadic current. When transmitting triadic current, the left palm is placed over the back of the right hand. The base magnetic current of the left palm interfaces with the base magnetic current in the back of the right hand, creating a magnetic repulsion loan, which blocks the vortex on the back of the right hand from drawing nonspecific frequency from the density 1 unified field. This keeps the current transmitted from the right palm chakra pure to its specifically chosen content. The base magnetic vortex in the left palm simultaneously draws the transmitted current back up through the smaller vortex sets after it runs through the client's body, creating a closed circuit of pure frequency running between the ova bodies of the client, the facilitator, and the higher dimensional unified fields. Options of frequency modulation for other healing applications also become available through using this hand position when transmitting healing current. In some applications, a modulated current that includes bursts of density 1 telluric current interspersed with current transmission from the higher dimensions is desired. This can be achieved by moving the left hand on and off the vortex on the back of the right hand. The left-over right hand position is used in level 1 kathara healing applications. Opening the healing channels, Duratic Phase 1 Current. 1. Breathe slowly and deeply for several breaths while visualizing or imagining a 4-inch violet on the center of the inside of your forehead. Make the color image as strong as you are able. If you can't yet perceive inner colors or visualization, simply imagine the violet as being there. Move the violet, the center of the brain at the pineal gland, and then upward into the 7th crown chakra, from the inside of the head moving upward and outward until the violet rests on top of your head at the crown chakra. 2. Call to mind the Hierophant symbol, pale silver Merkaba star formed by combining 2 Merkaba stars. Visualize the spinning Hierophant stationed 12 foot below the feet within your Maharic shield and slowly inhale, drawing the Hierophant up through the central body current, up to meet the violet, the 7th crown chakra at the top of the head. When the Hierophant connects with the violet, visualize the violet bursting into a 4-inch vertical pillar of violet sliver light. Imagine the violet silver pillar running down through the body into the earth core and upward to the 14th chakra 36-inch above the head. You have activated the violet ray of transmutation. 3. Move your attention to the 4th heart chakra and imagine a small green spherical crystal, the green star, stationed at its core. This is the green star crystal seal that controls release of 4th dimensional frequency, phase 1 Duratic current, into the body. Inhale, drawing violet silver energy from the violet silver pillar into the green star. Exhale, expanding the violet silver energy into the green star sphere. Repeat 2 more inhale-exhale breaths, drawing violet silver energy from the pillar and expanding it into the green star sphere. At the end of the last exhale, imagine the green star popping, turning into a spinning green and violet starburst of light as the violet silver pillar disappears. Spin the green-violet starburst faster until it becomes a ball of green-violet light, about the size of a grapefruit, spinning in the center of the 4th heart chakra. The green-violet ball is the storehouse for your phase L Duratic current. It is called the Duratic sphere. Inhale and draw pale silver energy from your Maharic shield, through the central body current and into the center of the Duratic sphere at the 4th heart chakra, encasing the sphere in translucent pale silver light. 4. Exhale quickly and push 2 cords of green-violet-silver energy Duratic cords from the Duratic sphere down the inside of your arms, 1 cord through each arm. As the ends of the Duratic cords reach the inside of the hands, notice a sensation of mild resistance as the cords push against the etheric membranes covering the small chakras in the palms. Inhale a full breath, drawing silver energy up from the Maharic shield into the Duratic sphere at the 4th chakra. Exhale forcefully, pushing more energy down through the Duratic cords in the arms, and feel this energy pop out of the palms, releasing the membranes on the palm chakras. Continue to inhale energy up from the Maharic shield into the Duratic sphere and exhale it through the Duratic cords, building the strength of the Duratic current in both palms. Imagine the Duratic current pooling in the palms to form 2 green-violet balls of light, about the size of tennis balls. Energize the Duratic sphere and cords until you can sense the smaller Duratic balls formed in the palms of your hands. Your Duratic current is now activated for use in healing facilitation. Symbol shorthand to Technique 3, Opening the Healing Channels, Duratic Phase 1 Current. 1. 4-inch violet dot inside forehead, move to pineal gland then up through 7th crown chakra to top of head. 2. Hierophant symbol at center of your Maharic shield, 12-inch below feet. Inhale symbol up to violet at top of head. See violet dot burst into 4-inch violet silver pillar running through body to earth's